So hello guys, today we are back with another story suggested by you guys. So today we are going to see, what if Caius fell in love with Bella Swan? DPOV. I had received an assignment to watch over the Cullens for the last few weeks. I watched as they interacted with the human we had received the information about. The more I watched, the more I wished I could drink this stupidity away. I once held a slither of respect for Carlyle that went out the proverbial window with this assignment. I watched as the Coven threw the human a birthday party. I watched as the feared Major attacked his so-called brother over a human. I watched as the young copper top deserted the human for a few days before coming back and stealing half of her belongings before dragging her into the forest. Honestly, I was surprised the young vampire did not sense me while he dumped his human plaything. I watched as he ran off and the human tried to follow after him. Anything new to report? My master asked me. Young Edward Cullen broke up with the human. The Cullens are in the process of leaving the area as I speak to you, I reported. What are your views? My master asked. Honestly, the only one I have any respect for is the Major. Carlyle has lost all respect I once had for him. What would you have me do, masters? I asked. Bring her back here, stage her death. We will decide before you arrive. My master informed me. Yes, master, I said over the line. The other end had already gone dead. I dropped down next to where the human female had fallen when she tripped over a tree root. Once I got close, I growled, picking her up, running toward where I knew my master's plane would be waiting for me. While I ran with the girl, I assessed her overall well-being. The child was borderline catatonic. I knew from the girl's scent that Cullen had played with this child. Everything that I had witnessed was falling into place, her childish behavior, his stalking, control, and manipulation of the young human. He used his lure to control the girl and his appeal while manipulating her to do his will. Once I arrived at the plane, it was ready to depart. As soon as I boarded, placing the young human on the bed in the back, I instructed the pilot to leave. Hours later, I walked into the throne room carrying the unresponsive young human girl. What is the meaning of this? Master Arrow demanded. He walked towards me, placing his hand on my own as I held the girl. He started growling instantly. Felix, gather my brothers and my mate to my office immediately. Please take young Isabella to one of the guest suites in your wing, Dimitri. Master Arrow told us, his anger causing concern to rise within me. Dimitri, thank you for the information you provided. Please stay with Isabella until we find you. Master Arrow informed me. I acknowledged his request before turning to take the young girl to the empty room next to my suite, placing her on the bed and covered her. Before, I sat on the sofa, waiting for the masters to come. But instead, I heard Felix at the door, hesitating before he just opened the door and walked in. Well, you missed out on the drama around here while you were away, Felix said, smiling before making his way over to the young girl. Why, what happened? I asked. Mistress Athenodra, she found her true mate and has left the castle. A nomad was passing through, and Mistress Athenodra was sitting in reception. They saw each other, and that was the end. Master Caius was completely unlike himself. He let her go with his blessing, wishing the newly mated couple all the best. Master Marcus and Arrow were rather surprised. Master Marcus confirmed the bond. Felix informed me. That was big news. Everyone in the castle had thought the two were mates. Unfortunately, that was not the case. What is the deal with the human? Felix asked me. She was the Cullen's toy. I received instructions to bring her in. So I have. I wonder what the masters will do with her, what they will do with the Cullen Coven. After what I have seen, I hope they learn a lesson about how to be a vampire. They all think that they are human once again. The only one that did not have any delusions was the Major that I was able to take note of at the time. I said to him, I kept watching the human. For some reason, it bothered me that Carlyle's first companion treated her this way, and it bothered me that another of my species played with their food. A few hours later, the girl became restless, whatever she was dreaming about. She woke with a blood-curdling scream. In all my existence, I could not remember when I heard a being let out something of that magnitude. I tried to calm the girl, yet it was like she was not fully awake. She just kept screaming. Seconds later, the masters ran in, all demanding answers. She just started screaming. Then, I heard Felix answer while I was still trying to calm the girl, who had finally woken. Out. Everyone is to leave. Brothers, that means you both also. Master Caius demanded. BPOV. He didn't want me. I knew it was too good to be true. I knew that I wasn't good enough for him. He was perfect. I was nothing, straightforward and boring. I had known that there was nothing that I could offer him that would make him stay with me. I had a faint sensation of being carried. I wasn't sure who it was or where I was going. But I didn't care. They had all left. I had caused them all to leave. It was the first time that I had anything for myself, and they all left me. My mind kept repeating that I wasn't good enough for him, that I pushed everyone away, and that I had even caused my parents to divorce. Then, finally, I woke up screaming there was a man in front of me that I had never seen in my life, asking me to calm down. Before I knew it, I was screaming more with fright than over the dream I had woken from. Seconds later, 3 more men ran into the room I was in, shouting in, from what I could understand, demanding to know why I was screaming. One of them shouted louder for everyone to get out, and I was left alone with this new man. Please, no one is going to hurt you. Can you calm a little? He asked me. I don't know when, but I found myself off the bed. I was in the corner of the room, the blonde kneeling in front of me. My name is Caius. Can I ask you a few questions? He asked me. I looked around the room, slowly nodding. Not that I had any choice about the matter, Isabella, but I prefer Bella. Are you going to kill me? I asked quietly. Hello, Bella. No, we know you know about us, and I would like to know who gave you that information. The man asked me. I figured it out on my own, I whispered. Who brought you into this world? He, Caius, asked me. I don't want to say who it was, I whispered, curling into a ball, feeling the need to protect myself even if it was only from my memories. Sweetheart, I need to know the name of the coven's leader. Can you give me that? He asked me. I just shook my head. They all left me. CPOV. Felix informed me that Arrow had summoned me to his study immediately. The fact that Dmitri had returned was undoubtedly the reason behind his meeting. I was in the process of removing Dora from all my accounts. I was happy for her, relieved that she had found her mate. I knew the guard had assumed that she and I were mates, but that was never the case. We were just companions. As I made my way toward Arrow's study, I couldn't help but think of the millennia that I had spent with Dora. I could only wish to be able to find a mate of my own, but I needed to be realistic. There was a chance that I would never find a mate of my own. I walked in only to find that Marcus was not only here but also Supplicia. I had to wonder what exactly was going on. Thank you, brother, for coming. I have learned many disturbing things from watching the Cullen Coven during Dimitri's time. They had brought a human girl into their coven. Carlyle's first companion, Edward, was using his lure to control and manipulate the young human girl. He led her into the forest and broke the child not even 24 hours ago. I had her brought here. She will get turned, but I would like to find out what she knows first. I discovered from Dimitri that the young human was silent to the mind reader. He could not reach her mind at all. Even Dimitri himself cannot get a read on her. Over the weeks that Dimitri was on assignment, he witnessed all but one member of the coven manipulate and control the young girl using their lure to do so, making her more compliant as the weeks progressed. When young Cullen left the girl in the forest, he had led her to believe that she was nothing but a plaything and that he was sick of playing human. I call for the coven to receive a trial. What say you? Arrow asked. Before any of us could answer, Marcus and Sulpicia asked about the well-being of the human girl, and both asked what else was said. Both of them were talking over the other to try and get information. The chatter continued for a while, but as amusing as it was to watch my normally quiet and subdued brother becoming alive for the first time in nearly a millennium, I wondered why he engaged suddenly. Then, everything was suddenly brought to a screaming halt by a blood-curdling scream. The four of us ran in the direction of the sound. I knew that all vampires knew the laws, so if one was feeding in our town, they were about to die. The four of us ended up being led into the room of the human girl. I watched as Dmitri attempted to calm the young lady. I could hear questions flying around, trying to find out what was happening. The young lady was panicking, crawling further away from Dmitri until she found the corner of the room. Anyone could see the panic on her face if they bothered. I demanded that absolutely everyone leave. I would talk to the young lady and calm her, find out what she knew. I moved so that she could see each move until I sat before her. I was waiting until she caught her breath. I started to ask her about what she knew. I introduced myself to her, and she to me. It was hours of constant small talk before she began to relax. As she started to shiver, I pulled the blankets off the bed and wrapped them around her. I learned that she had learned about my species just from observing the coven in question in school, that they all looked the same but different. They never ate. None of it sat well with her. One of the coven, it seemed, began then to lure her in. The Cullen coven would receive summons immediately. She informed me that despite begging one of them to change her, her request was denied. When I asked her if it was indeed the Cullens, she refused to confirm it. Bella, I know who they are from how you talk about the coven. What they have done has broken our laws. I know you are preferably attached to them, but they will need to face trial. That said, I must inform you that what they have done was not in any way showing affection to you. They were using their lure and drawing you in so that they could feed on you. This practice we outlawed several centuries ago. So, unfortunately, it is no longer a question of if you want to be changed into one of us, but rather a case of it will happen, or you will die. They are the laws, ones that we all take very seriously. I informed her that this was when she broke down crying. He broke up with me. He led me into the forest behind my house and broke up with me. Said that I was just a distraction, that he was tired of playing human. I couldn't see my house. I tried to follow him to get home again. I tripped over a tree root above ground. The next thing I knew, I was here, and a strange man was standing over me. Bella continued to cry. I did feel sorry for the young human. For everything that she was losing all because of this coven. I can't go home, can I? She asked, shaking her voice from crying. I'm sorry. No, you cannot, I said sadly. Can you at least then give my father some comfort? He is the chief of police. He won't stop looking for me, she asked me. I sighed, knowing that her father's position could be problematic. Let me talk to my brothers, and I will do my best to give him some closure. I will attempt to see to it personally. So I told her for some reason. I watched as she nodded. She continued to cry until she finally fell asleep. It was only then that I picked her up, placed her in the bed once again, and went to find my brothers. Not that I had far to travel. Bella observed the habits of the Cullens, which led her to find out about the secret. Her father is the local police chief. There could be issues if not dealt with delicately. Young Edward Cullen took her far behind her home to break her, as you know, Arrow, from Dimitri's memories. Now, if you will excuse me, I have some things to take care of. I said to my brothers. I needed to deal with her father's closure personally. So that is what I did. Making my way into my study, I called both Dmitri and Felix to me, setting them both to the task of acquiring a body that would match young Bella's and getting the plane ready for my flight to give her father closure. I ended up being in the state of Washington for 7 days, enough time for Bella to go missing and turn up dead after being reported missing. Little did others know that Felix had a gift. He could hide his scent and the scent of any who traveled with him. However, Dmitri had informed me that there were shifters in the area, so we had to be careful. On the 5th day, I made my way with Felix and Dmitri to the home of one Isabella Swan to give the news to her father. As I was feeling somewhat irritable, I hinted that she'd seen a young boy that just happened to fit the description of one Edward Cullen. He's also seen dragging her body into the Arizona desert, where we had found and detained the boy for questioning. My team later found her and recognized her via dental records. Mr. Swan received the information as expected. I had spent the following 2 days tying up the loose ends that the Cullens failed to. Then, just as I was about to leave on the 7th day, I received a call from Arrow. I just received a very informative call from Carlisle. His seer has seen that Edward has received implications in the death of our young Isabella, asking me to help him discover who it could be that was spreading such malice information about his first companion. I informed him that he should bring his coven in so that we can clear up any misinformation. Arrow informed me. I just laughed. No. I hinted at the fact when I spoke to her father. I told him we had Edward for questioning just like we are about to. I informed my brother. Later that evening, after finishing everything that needed to be done, I told both guards to say to the pilot to get the plane ready to leave this god-forsaken country. Once we landed and returned home, I was lucky enough to hear Carlisle demanding to know what was going on and to understand why his son was receiving such a gross accusation of his character. Your coven has broken the law for the last time, Cullen. We have received information that a human has acquired knowledge of our existence and was directly involved with your first companion. I told him as I walked through the throne room doors, making my way to my throne, sitting so I could glare at them all. I had no time for lawbreakers. We have broken no laws, Carlisle growled at me. If that is what you believe, let me see for myself then, from each of you, Arrow said to them. They all fell silent. They knew that they were in the wrong and had broken the law. Arrow took a step towards them, hand outstretched, waiting for Carlisle to comply. If you are as innocent as you say, then you will have nothing to hide, I told Carlisle. The human is dead, no law has gotten broken. The copper-haired child stated. I heard Dmitri snicker in the background. For a mind reader, he was useless regarding his gift. My gift is not useless. The child shouted at me. I just went through the conversation I had with the young girl when she returned with Dmitri, watching the child in front of me as I did so. Not once did he react. Felix, Dmitri, take this coven into holding, while I convene with my brothers. I instructed. The 2 guards did so immediately. Although he could have fought back quickly, the major did not fight them. We could all hear their complaints as they went down to the cells. What is the meaning of this sudden halt? Arrow asked me. The mind reader cannot read my mind when I mentally went through the conversation I had with young Bella, I told my brothers. Both had a look of shock come over their features at this information. Well, this is interesting. It seems as if the young lady was born to be a vampire. How interesting, mainly if her gift manifests in her human form. Marcus said, looking rather thoughtful. I needed to go and let her know that I had given her father closure. I knew that this would give her a sense of peace as she went into the change. So I walked out of the throne room and towards the young lady. Once I arrived at her room, knocking, I heard her walk towards the door, and I waited for her to answer. Keys. Hi, Bella said, surprised by my presence. The moment I saw her, I felt a fury build quickly within me. She had bruises covering her face and neck. "Who did this to you, Bella?" I asked as I picked her up, slamming the door behind me, before placing her on her bed. She looked scared. I wanted to demand to know why. Nothing. No one did anything," she stammered, trying to cover her face with her hair. "Do not cover yourself. Tell me, who did this to you? I will protect you. None will go against me," I told her. She sat there, her fear clear for me to see. I sighed before calling for Felix. "I needed to hide her scent, master." I heard him answer. "Are our guests well guarded?" I asked him, waiting for his reply. When he answered that they were, I nodded. "Felix, carry Isabella to my quarters. Keep her scent covered at all times if you can. I will follow as far as Arrow's study," I quietly whispered to him. I wanted no one to be aware that she was getting moved. "Isabella, I need you to be silent," I asked her. She nodded her head, the frightened look still marring her features. I indicated to Felix to pick her up, but, of course, I was ensuring no one was around to see her getting moved. Once Bella had settled into my quarters, I made my way to Arrow to find out what had happened this past week. "I have just visited with Isabella. Why is it that her face and neck are swollen and bruised?" Although I growled at my brother, the fact that he looked taken back somewhat calmed me. "Where is she?" Arrow growled. I held my hand out to him so that he could see my memories along with the warning that I mentally sent him, promising to find and punish the ones responsible for hurting a guest of the Volturi. But, human or not, Bella was still a guest of ours. Arrow wanted to call all the guards and demand the one who hurt Bella come forward. "No, brother, I would suggest that you read them discreetly. If the guilty party knows that we are looking for them, they will run," Marcus said. On a different note, what are we to do with Carlyle's coven? Marcus asked. "They all broke the law, they should be punished accordingly," I growled before walking out. Making my way towards my quarters, I made a plan as to what I was going to do regarding young Bella before I walked into the room. "Bella, sorry I got called away. Can you tell me who hurt you?" I asked once again. She still looked scared, a little calmer, but still frightened. She just shook her head before she started to cry. Then, pulling her in towards me, I felt the need to help calm her, so that is what I did. I knew I felt a pull toward this young woman, and I had an idea what that meant. But she needed my protection for now. "I have spent the week in your hometown. I talked to your father and gave him the closure you asked me to give him. He was upset. I told him that young Edward Cullen caused your death and that we already had him in custody and questioned him about you." I had to smile when I informed her of what I had done. "I am sorry to say, but you will need to turn, and it will need to get done soon," I said. "Change me now, then. What is the point of waiting? The Cullens never intended for me to turn, so can you find someone to do it?" Bella asked me. I knew that all her injuries would heal with the change, so there was no point in waiting for her to heal. "I can change you whenever you choose. Is there anything that you wish to do before I bite you?" I asked Bella. "There's no point. I had asked Edward for so much, and he denied me each time by telling me it was too dangerous. So I've resigned myself to die a virgin. Just bite me." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could he deny you anything? I have to wonder if he did not like the company of women. "I will turn you if that is what you wish, but please let me feed first so that I am at my strongest for you. Will you allow me this?" I asked her. I was able to turn her now if that was what she wanted. If I was honest, I wanted to be able to give her what she wanted before she became a vampire. "You don't look thirsty. Your eyes are red. Why do you want to wait?" Bella asked me. "Honestly, I want you to be able to have what you want before you turn into one of us. I would like you to agree on your own, though." I told her. I do not know why I was telling her this exactly. "Thanks, but it's okay. I don't want to wait. Can you turn me? She asked, even though she sounded defeated. What if I gave this to you? Would you object? I asked her. What about your wife? I know that all three of you are married and mated. Edward told me. I'm not someone that would do that, Bella said before getting up and walking towards the door to the bathroom. I am not married or mated. I was married, yes. Athenodra found her true mate, so she has left with my blessing to be happy. Then, I told Bella. I heard her sigh before she carried on and closed the door behind her. I knew she would make up her mind about what she wanted to do, so all I could do was wait for her to do so. I could still hear the Cullens all fuss over being sent to the dungeons like the criminals they were. I waited for nearly 3 hours sitting in my study, waiting for Bella to come out of the bathroom. My brothers had come and gone. We talked about what we would do with the Cullens. I wanted to make them suffer. I did ask Arrow if young Edward had a fancy for young men. I had to admit that curiosity had gotten the best of me, so I had to ask. No man in their right mind would turn down a beauty like Isabella. Yet he had done so, and from what Bella had hinted, he had done it often. It might have to do with young Isabella being Mr. Cullen's singer, Arrow said, smiling. Then, not long after they had left, I returned to the bedroom and found Isabella sitting on the bed, again crying. Sorry, I didn't mean to cry again. Can you find someone who can turn me now, please? Bella asked me. I will do it if that pleases you, I told her. She nodded in acceptance. I moved over to her before asking her to lay down, ensuring she was comfortable. Before I bite you, did Edward ever tell you that your blood sang to him? I asked. The look on her face told me that was the case. Even though I had no cause to doubt my brother, I had to find out for myself. She indicated that he had done so. He was wrong. It is not dangerous at all. If anything, being in that moment, in the throes of passion, it would reduce the pain of the bite starting the change. I just thought that you should know, I told her before moving to her neck, picking the spot where I would make the bite and take her life from her. Thank you for letting me know that, Keys. Can I ask you something? Bella asked. Of course, I answered. Will it always hurt after I'm changed? Hurt like it's the first time? She asked me. From what I have heard, yes, it will. The pain will be something that you can learn to love, or you will avoid the act altogether. I told her honestly. What if I find my mate but don't want to be with him like that? Bella asked me. He will accept you for who you are. If you are having second thoughts, this can wait, just not too long, I told her. Will you help me? She asked. If you don't want to, I get it. Bella was becoming a rather lovely shade of red due to her embarrassment. What exactly would you like my help with? I smiled at her. I had a feeling that I knew what she wanted. Will you have sex with me? She whispered. I laughed softly and leaned in and kissed her gently. It would be an honor, one that I will cherish for the rest of my existence, I told her. I waited for her to be ready for this. She sat up, biting her lip, before she started to undo the buttons of my shirt, fumbling with each, her fingers shaking from her nerves. JPOV. We had all been taken to the dungeons to wait for our trial to begin. Carlyle did nothing but complain, just like his son. The brat that he was. Rose, Emmett, and I stayed silent, just waiting while the rest protested loudly. Jazzy, can't you do something you used to while you were with them? Alice asked. I just rolled my eyes. None of the Cullens knows about my persona. I knew that Edward didn't know, hadn't even seen it in my mind, for Alice to ask like this, even if she meant, while I was with Char and Peter, pissed me off. No. I told you what would happen, and I even tried to feed. Before that damn birthday that you had for Bella, Rose, Emmett, and I warned you about using your lure on her, but none of you listened. Went ahead and did it anyway. So now we are all here and going to face a trial. I'm not going to do a damn thing. Why don't you go ask your mate to do something? That's right, you killed him, so you can't. Leave me alone, Mary Alice. I growled at her. She looked at me, distraught. She didn't realize that I knew about her true mate and what fate befell him. Jasper, if there is any way you can help us, please do so. We are all innocent here. Whatever accusations made are false. But, please, son, if you know of a way, please. Carlyle said. I felt the major rattling in his cage, almost begging to get let out to teach this inbred preacher's son a lesson. I had taken stock of the emotions around me, and there was one familiar emotional signature here in this castle. So I knew the accusations were false. But they deserved to sweat a little. It was then that a thought came to me. I made my way to the door and called the tracker's attention. Hey, Demi, any chance Rose, Emmett, and I can talk to the kings? I asked. By all means. Jasper, Demi said, smiling at me. I met him while in Maria's army. It was not long after I had helped Peter and Char escape. I was the only one he let live, as I wasn't the man he was looking for. Years later, he discovered the truth. We remain friends to this day. Dmitri proceeded to let the three of us out. Why Rosalie and Emmett? I should be the one that gets released from this hell. Edward shouted, disgruntled that he did not get included in my request, because we three are the only innocent ones out of you lot. I'm going to let Arrow know that. So I told him, smiling the whole way out of the dungeon. We could hear the bitching from Edward, Alice, Carlyle as well as Esme. Once we made it to Arrow's study to see the man, we each explained our side of the events, offering our hands to verify our stories. Thank you for coming to see me about this willingly. I will consult with my brothers about this once they are both free. As it is, I am sure that Dmitri will be happy to catch up with his old friend and possibly make a couple more, Arrow said. I just smiled. If you don't mind me asking, the signature I felt, was that? I asked, trailing off my question on purpose. Arrow just smiled. I believe that was Key's new mate that you felt. He is with her now. Discovering one's true mate is a joyous occasion. Arrow said. The warning, though, was clear. Bella was here, and she was the mate of our king. So step carefully. I nodded and thanked him for seeing us. He called Dmitri and asked him to show the three of us to 2 guest suites, letting us know that our situation had changed from being detained to being a guest of a Volturi. Once we got shown to our rooms, Dmitri made himself at home. Comfortable there? I asked. The ass just sat on the corner chair and grinned at me. Then, before I could say anything else, Rose and Emmett walked through the door. Want to fill us in on what's going on? Rose asked. I met Dmitri here when I was in Maria's army. We became fast friends. So I told them as I went to bed to sit down. Okay, so what's the deal with asking about the king's new mate then? Emmett asked as he made himself comfortable. He had brought in a chair so he could sit, pulling Rose down to sit on his lap. What did your coven brother tell you about how he discarded the human with which your coven got involved? Dmitri asked, surprising us all. After Bella's birthday, she realized we weren't what she had thought. She asked not to see any of us again and broke up with Edward. I told him that she was going to be trouble. Rose said. The sudden fury and blinding rage that came from Dmitri was honestly surprising. That lying sack of shit. I had been sent to investigate the accusation of your coven informing a human of our existence. I watched that facade of a birthday that the seer put on. I also watched the gutless wonder take the human far behind her house not long after and destroy her. I heard as he told her that he was tired of playing human, that she wasn't good enough for him. I reported to Master Marcus, who instructed me to bring her here. Here she has since learned the truth and found her true mate. You may all want to open your eyes to what that child you call a brother is like. Dmitri said as he got a bag of blood out of the mini fridge to heat up. We all watched as he poured some out into 4 glasses and added whiskey to each. Despite what you have undoubtedly gotten told, we can drink alcohol as long as it gets mixed with blood. The Major here knows that using the lure to get anyone, human or vampire, to do one's bidding was outlawed centuries ago. And yet that is what the rest of your coven had done. I do not know if they had done so to the 2 of you yet, but I know that the Major would never have let that happen. Otherwise, none of the others would be alive now. Dmitri said. I just raised my eyebrows and laughed, knowing that he was correct. You keep referring to the Major. Who is that? Emmett asked. Dmitri spat out his drink in surprise. They don't know. Dmitri asked, looking at me in shock. Not a clue, I answered. Well, you chicken shit, I never assumed I would see the day. Well, get comfy, boys and girls. You're about to get story time. I rolled my head and laid back on the bed, wishing I could sleep. But instead, I wondered how many times he had told this story. Well, decades back, I was sent by the masters to look for the god of war himself and bring him in for trial. Well, I found the army in question. All that got left of the famed trio of the god of war, the captain and the lieutenant, was Maria and her second, who was a poor excuse of a vampire. We all heard running towards us, and all looked towards the door. When it opened, I saw a colossal vampire standing at the door. His jaw hit the floor before asking permission to enter. So I just waved the big lug in, whom Dmitri introduced as Felix. Anyway, that poor excuse was that runned there. I told him to piss off right before Maria screamed at me that I was letting her Major go. It was then that I realized my mistake. I had just told the vampire I was looking for to virtually fuck off. That he wasn't the one I was looking for, wondering why he was laughing at me. So after dismembering Maria and killing the bitch, I went on the hunt again, and found the ass in a bar, drinking it dry. He asked me to join him, and we have been friends ever since. Dmitri said, smiling like a fool. He always said he was friends with the god of war, but none of us believed him. Yet here you are in the flesh. I can't believe it. Yeah, well, my reputation always did precede me. No one realized that Aries only ever comes out when Jasper or I face a threat that neither of us can deal with, I heard the Major say. I had let him slip forth. It was time for us to merge and become one. We both knew it was time. CPOV. We lay together in bed. I had pushed my venom into her system, starting the change almost an hour ago, and Bella was silent. It was nearly unprecedented for something like this to happen. I knew Carlyle liked to boast that he was quiet, but he was not. I knew his sire, Alistair, was the one to change him. He also tried to get him to drink human. But Carlyle was a fool even in the beginning. Alistair had come to us and begged to rescind his place as Carlyle's sire. Arrow read him and approved the request. When the fool came to us on his own 100 years later, Arrow recognized him immediately, and the 3 of us tried to convert him to the natural diet without luck. He had convinced himself that his sire was a hungry nomad and that he discovered vegetarianism himself and built up a whole story about it to make others feel sorry for him. I decided to get up and out of bed and clean up my mate of the blood covering her body. Then, taking her into the shower, I washed her hair and body, talking to her the entire time, and letting her know what I was doing. Once finished, I dressed her before taking her back to bed. After I had dressed, I called my brothers to inform them that the change was underway. She is so quiet, Arrow whispered as he looked over my young mate. When did you bite her? Marcus asked. Little over an hour ago. Bella should be screaming in agony by now. I looked her over and brushed her hair out of her face. She looked as if she was sleeping. If it had not been for the strength of her heart, I would have thought her dead. She will be perfect, brother. Marcus smiled. While Isabella is undergoing her transformation, it may be prudent to have the trial of the coven we are holding. So I talked to the major as well as two of the coven. They had warned our friend of the perils of their decision yet went ahead anyway. So I have welcomed them as guests rather than guests of our dungeons. Arrow informed me. I nodded and said we should get the trial underway. So here we all sat, in the throne room, the Cullens in front of us, attempting to plead their innocence. Yet not one of us believes what they are saying. You are accused of informing a human of our secret and leaving the human knowing the secret of our existence without turning the human. You are also here before us for illegally using a vampire's lure against said human. What do you say to these accusations? Marcus said, taking the lead on this. We are innocent. We may have interacted with humans, but I work with them, and my children go to high school with humans daily. So where have we broken the law? Carlyle said. The anger that he was emitting was laughable. Then, the young girl, your first companion, was in a relationship with was not human? Is that what you are saying? Well, where is this vampire that was involved with your eldest? Arrow asked. They knew full well that Bella was human. Well, not anymore. Bella was not a vampire, but she was the one who was infatuated with Edward. She would not give up her obsession. So we had to leave the area. Carlyle said. I heard Dimitri stifle a laugh before apologizing for the interruption. Did she know our species? I asked. Yes, Carlyle's mate informed us. Then you left her with the knowledge and left her human at that? I asked them again. Yes, the woman said again. Then, you are guilty. Are you not? You have tried to deceive us by saying that that child was not in a relationship. Then about the fact that a human knows of our secret. I think that you need to make up your mind about what you all believe. We already know about the human. We already know that you are guilty of informing a human of our species and letting her live as a human without change. I said to the coven. I refuse to damn her soul just to be one of us. Bella was pure. Edward shouted at us all. Why would you be damning her soul? Why would you care if you were not in a relationship with the human? Bella was everything to me. You know nothing about her. Bella is my mate. I refuse to let you get your hands on her. Edward screamed at us. You admit that you were in a relationship with the human then? Arrow asked him. She was my mate. Of course, I was with her. The child answered. Then, why is it she is not here with your coven if she was indeed your mate as you are stating? Arrow asked again. She left me. No longer wanting to be associated with any of us due to Jasper attacking her on her birthday. Edward growled out. He was looking over at the Major. Major Whitlock, do you have anything to add to this? I asked as I watched the coven, the sudden fear overcoming them. Did they not know who it was living in their midst? Thank you for asking, my king. Yes, I have something to add. Bella was Edward's singer. He didn't want her turned because he would lose access to her blood. He lied to her regularly about the two of them being mates. I had heard Edward talking to Alice and Carlyle about making sure that Bella was kept from Italy at all costs. Otherwise, they would get killed for keeping her away from her true mate. They knew she was the mate of someone significant but used their lure anyway. They also fed on her while she was sleeping. They did not bite, but they used sharp instruments and cut in the crease of her knees and elbows. I warned them, as did my coven mates Rosalie and Emmett, that it was a bad idea to use the lure against the law. You can check my memories if you would like. None of them took notice of the warning. The Major stated, Thank you, Major. Arrow, Marcus, and I said, bowing to the Major, showing our gratitude. Lies. Why are you lying? None of that is true. The girl is not Edward's singer. She is his mate, the one that brings meaning to his existence. Why would we feed on blood that had gotten tainted? The childlike woman said. Surprisingly, many wanted to come forward and bear testimony against the Cullen coven. I had tired of hearing many of the allegations repeated, but that was the crux of the matter. I don't think that the coven before us knew that they had angered so many. They just felt that they had friends all over the world. Arrow, you know what to do. Let us finish this. I have things that I must attend to. Athenodra will not wait forever. I told them. I wanted to laugh, but I did have things to finalize with my soon-to-be ex-wife. Yes, let's. I have read all of you. The fact that I feel like you have forgotten on purpose. I know what you have all done. You are all guilty of telling a human of our secret, of using your lure even though you all knew that it got outlawed centuries ago. I have seen the evidence that the human was, in fact, young Edward Singer, that you all fed on the young human. I have seen it all. Including the fact that the human in question was the mate of one of your kings. And you knew about it all along. Keeping mates apart is a serious crime. Brothers, what say you regarding their punishment? Arrow asked. Death, Marcus said. Death. I next said, well, look at that. It is unanimous. Death to Carlyle, Esme, Edward and Alice Cullen. Arrow said. I just smiled. You will never find her. I made sure that she will die before you ever get a chance to see her. Edward said. See who? A voice said from beside me. Bella? Alice asked. I asked you a question. See who? What was it that I ever did to any of you? Bella asked, looking over to me. She had meant to be screaming in agony. Going through her change, not awake, she walked over towards me. Answer the question, Bella demanded. You never meant to be here, never meant to see this place. Lau. You should go home to see Charlie, Edward said. I glared at him. Finish this, Arrow, I said. I wanted to be able to talk to my mate about why she was walking around and not burning. But, instead, Arrow walked up to Edward and again read the child. Then, growling, he walked around reading the whole coven before giving the order to destroy them. Yes, let them all burn, Bella said. I could hear the smile in her voice. Once they all turned to ash, I picked her up and ran to our quarters. How are you awake and walking about right now? I bet you. You should be screaming right now. Still with another 2.5 days of burning. I asked. I have burned for 3 days. I didn't realize that the trials went for so long. Or was it you that did not realize that the trial had lasted for so long? Bella asked me. I looked around for a calendar once I found I was shocked to see that she was correct. It had been 3 days since the trial of the Cullen Coven started. I have already fed. I found a lovely lady named Heidi who took me down to the dungeon to feed on one of the criminals you keep down there. The man was delicious, Bella told me. I'm glad you could get someone to drink to quench your thirst. Though you should not be so calm right now. Newborns are usually raging and unpredictable, violent creatures. How are you so calm? I asked her. I don't know. I just woke up like this. Once I fed, Heidi told me that you all were in the throne room. I didn't mean to interrupt like that. But I heard their voices, and I don't know what came over me. I was furious for some reason. Did Edward try and get me killed? Bella asked. I am not sure. For the answer to that question, you would have to ask Arrow. But, I informed her, I couldn't stop looking at her. Immortality suited her. Is everything all right? You keep staring. Bella asked. Everything is all right. Immortality becomes you. I told her. I had yet to tell her what she was to me. I didn't know what to say. I need to get back. I think we should sit down and talk about the laws. I told her. Oh, no. I already know. Heidi let me know those also. I'll let you go. Thanks, by the way, for helping me out with that problem. It was nice of you to do that for me. Anyway, I'll let you go. I'll see you around. Bye. Keys, Bella said to me. It was then that I saw that she had packed bags by the door. Before I could say anything more, she was gone. I ran after her. She could not leave. Bella, you can't leave. I said as I grabbed her arm, stopping her from walking out the door. Why? Bella asked me. The Cullens didn't want you to come to Italy. They knew this was where you would find your true mate, I told her. How? Did they know who it is? She asked me, looking angry at what I could only assume to be what they took from her. I do not know the answer to that, I told her. What do I do now? My family thinks I'm dead. What am I meant to do? Bella asked herself. You could stay here. I would love the company. It gets rather dull sometimes, and one can only take so much of Arrow's excessive behavior. I swear that sometimes he acts more like a human teenage girl than the millennia-old vampire. I would love to get to know you better, I said smilingly. It was refreshing to hear her laugh. Yeah, I can see that about him. But, I don't know. I hope you're not going and getting all clingy on me just because we had sex. You're not, are you? Bella asked me, unfortunately. A couple of guards around heard her comment. We could hear the shocked gasps from where we stood. No, I do not get clingy, as you put it, but I would like to spend hours just talking to you. Break up the monotony of eternity, I told her, and she seemed to think for a while before she nodded her acceptance. Okay, then, I can travel another time, see the world, find my mate, and all that. Who knows, I might even find him right here in the castle. Bella said. Little did she know, she had already found her mate. I needed to tell her and knew I needed to inform her soon. But I didn't want her to feel obligated to stay with me. So I took her back to my quarters and told her she would place her things anywhere she wanted. I'm sure I could have a room of my own, you know. Or is there something that you're not telling me? Bella asked me. I froze, not knowing what to say. I just enjoy your company, I told her before letting her know I had to talk with Arrow and Marcus about a few things. Bella waved me off before I walked away, going actually to see my brother. Brother, I did not expect to see you. I would have thought that you would be entertaining, Arrow said as I walked into his office. What did you see in the young Cullen's mind? I asked him outright. Both he and the seer had discovered that a vengeful vampire was looking for your mate. They had let the vampire know where she was and that your mate was free game, as was anyone close to her. The coven had killed the vampire's mate, and in turn, the woman blamed your mate for killing him, as if she had done so herself. I have sent Jane, Alec, and Dimitri to look for the vampire. They have instructions to bring her back here for a chat. How are things going with your new mate? Arrow asked. I'm not sure yet. I look forward to knowing what Bella is like. We will not have many interruptions with any luck. I told him. Well, with luck, the three of us will not be too busy holding court, Arrow said to me. I thanked him for the information and went to find Bella again. I was looking forward to hopefully getting to know her. I walked into my quarters, hoping to see Bella. Yet she was not there. I hoped that she had not gone far, walking into my study. But instead, I found Athenodra waiting for me with her new mate, Caius. I hoped that Alistair and I would be able to catch you. We heard the news and thought that we would come and congratulate you in person. Athenodra said to me, smiling. Thank you, Dora, and Alistair. Yes, it was a timely incident. The fates must be smiling on us that we both find our perfect half within weeks of one another. I told her, and she walked around to me and hugged me. I was thankful that we would be able to remain friends at least. We all heard the door open and watched as Bella walked in. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you had company. I'll leave you, Bella said. It's a fine young one. Hi, I'm Alistair. I just came to congratulate Caius on finding his mate, Alistair said, introducing himself to Bella. Mate? Oh, okay, yes, congratulations, Bella said before walking out and closing the door. Is she all right? Dora asked. That was Bella, I told them. How lovely, she seems nice. A little strange. It was like she didn't know the two of you were mates. Dora said. She doesn't, I haven't told her yet. She is only hours old in this life. She woke from the change while the Cullen Coven was on trial. Heidi took her for her first meal. I told them I had always been able to talk to Dora easily. Carlisle is dead? Alistair asked. What do you mean she doesn't know Caius? Dora asked at the same time. Yes. Sorry, he and several members of his coven broke the law. I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet. I answered them both. Dora ran out the door before I could say a word more. Well, I guess it was coming. He was too stubborn for this life. The fact that he found anyone to feed as he does was shocking to me. I heard that he was able to con the feared Major into feeding as he does. Alistair said to me, in a way, I guess he had. I informed him, but the Major, I think, will be changing his mind about that. I smiled at him. I hope so. I had tried it, but it dulled the senses and made me physically weaker. If Carlisle could convince anyone to stick with that diet, it would have been because Carlisle felt threatened by them and their gift. Alistair told me. What I found interesting, we had never been able to find anyone willing to come forward after trying it. Now that someone was standing in front of me, I had to wonder, would Alistair stand in front of my brothers and tell them the same thing? Would you be willing to stand and let my brothers know your findings on that matter? I asked the man. I'll think about it. He told me. APOV, Athenodra. That stupid fool of an ex-husband. It was clear that this girl had started to have feelings for him. If I had known, I would have hoped that I would have acted differently. However, once I found her, she was zipping up her bag. It was clear she was unwilling to stay, especially in this room. Hello, Bella, isn't it? I asked her. Yes. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but I have somewhere to be. The young woman said. I will not keep you then, I'm not his mate. I hope you know that. My mate and I congratulated him on finding his mate after all these long millennia. I smiled at her. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Bella said before walking out the door. I tried to follow her, but she was faster than any newborn I had ever seen. I made my way back to my mate, knowing he would be able to track her. I need you to be able to track Bella. I was unable to catch up with her. I have never seen any vampire run that fast, I asked him. He took a deep breath, and I knew he was trying to gather her location. After a minute, Alistair turned and looked at Caius. Does Bella have a gift of some kind? My mate asked. Not that I am aware, Caius replied. My mate looked at me. He genuinely looked concerned. Caius took off running. If I can't find her then either she is a shield or something else entirely, Alistair told me. I hope he finds her. If that were me, I would have felt threatened. If I had started to have feelings for someone and then found that there was a chance that he could have mated to another, I would be seriously hurt. I told him. CPOV. Dread. It's all I felt. I needed to find Bella. I felt the pull in my chest getting stronger. I ran and shouted at GR to let my brothers know I would be back when I could. I followed the pull, needing to find her. I needed to explain myself to her, let her know. The closer I got to her, the more at peace I felt, but I knew she was distressed. I ran for what felt like hours, trying to find her. I nearly gave up when I caught her scent. Bella. I shouted, needing for her to hear me. I don't know how long I ran for calling her name. Finally, I discovered her sitting in a hollowed tree. Bella, thank God. I have searched for you. Why did you run? I asked her. Sorry. I'm happy for you. She looks beautiful, by the way. However, I thought it would be best if I left so you both had some time alone. Bella told me as she became increasingly upset. Bella, if you're meaning Athenodra, she is my ex-wife. She found her mate in Alistair. I needed to tell you, I did find my mate. I hoped that I would be able to get to know her. From what I had been able to find out, she is an amazing woman. I told Bella. I slowly walked toward her. I was sitting in front of Bella. She wouldn't even look at me. Why did you change me if you had her? Why did you make love to me if you had her? Finally, it was time for her to know. Bella. I found her, found my mate when Dimitri brought her here to the castle. It's you, Bella. I'm sorry I never told you sooner. I wanted to get to know you. I wanted for us to be able to fall in love. I hoped that we could fall in love and not feel obligated to be with each other. I'm sorry I didn't tell you before. I told her. Why couldn't you tell me? You could have told me. Why didn't you tell me? I was falling for you already. Tell me why. Bella asked me. I'm not meant to be scared. I'm one of the leaders of our race, not intent to show fear. I didn't know what else to do. My mate was only ever the one to see me vulnerable. I can only but apologize to you for what I have done, for my deception. I told her. We sat silently, well into the night, feeling the sunrise the following day before Bella even looked at me. What are we going to do? What do you want to do? Bella asked me. What do you want to do? I asked in return. BPOV. I just learned that Caius was my mate. What was I meant to think about that? He just sat there in front of me, watching me. He would often look up at the sky, watching the stars. I had to admit the night sky was beautiful, seeing the stars in Italy, compared to the view from my bedroom window in Fox. I also thought about what he said, what the woman I had seen with her arms around him had told me. Did I stay and work things out? Did I run and leave him? Did I even believe anything that he said? I spent the next few hours just thinking about what I wanted to do before realizing I needed time to think about everything. Before I knew it, the sun had risen in the sky, and I was once again faced with Caius just sitting in front of me, waiting for me to say anything to him. What are we going to do? What do you want to do? I asked him. What do you want to do? Caius asked me in return. I think I would like to try and get to know you. I have to admit, if I had known before you changed me, I don't know if I would have slept with you, I said. I looked at Caius in time to see the shock and hurt cross his face. That is fair. I guess we should get back to the castle. I still need to sign some papers for Athenodra, Caius told me as he stood. I would have wanted to wait until we got to know each other. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, I told Caius as I watched him walk back towards the castle. CPOV. I sat waiting for Bella to tell me what she wanted precisely. I wanted to know if she could manage to be with me. Were you going to tell me about being married? Bella asked me. Yes, I was, but I wanted to be able to get to know you first. I know that I should have told you, but for one, I was not sure how you felt about me. Despite my angry persona, I can be a gentle vampire. Not many know that though, only a few know. Arrow, Marcus, Athenodra, and even Sulpicia think I am perpetually angry. But she never took the time to get to know me, I told her. Bella nodded but stayed silent. What is she like? Your wife? Bella asked me. My ex-wife, you meet her, and her new mate, Alistair, was going through the city when she caught his scent. Once they connected, she came to me and asked for a divorce. I gave it to her. That was before I knew that you were on your way here and just happened to be my mate, I told her, smiling as I thought about the memory of her coming into my life just a few days ago. Up until I came here, I was ecstatically happy, then in the next breath, everything I knew got broken. I know that you and I seem to have fate bring us together, but I feel that I just need time, but at the same time I don't want us to wait whatsoever. I'm confused, Bella told me. I can be whatever it is you want me to be. All I ask is that you don't leave me. We need each other. Any type of separation for us would be painful. I'm sorry, but that is just the truth. So, I will give it to you if it is what you need. But, I told her I wasn't sure if I should get up and leave her alone or stay and try and get her to come back with me. CPOV. Once we got back to the castle, Bella and I were met by Dora and Alistair and my brothers. All of them were smiling at both of us. I didn't have time to greet them before Bella ran from the reception area. Glad to see that the both of you have come back to us, Marcus said, still smiling. I couldn't help the smile that suddenly befell my face. I was not expecting Dora to come up to me and slap me. What was that for? I asked in surprise. You should have told her right away. I am of half the mind to go up there and give her a few lessons on how to keep you in line. Keys, Dora said to me. I told her already, there is no need for you to get involved with anything. I told her sternly, even though I was scared about what she could say to my vulnerable mate. Nice way to try looking serious. But you might want to work on that, brother, I heard Sulpicia say, coming up from behind Arrow. I did not stay around to hear whatever they wanted to say. I needed to go and find my mate. Once I made it to my quarters, I heard her talking to someone. I was unhappy that there was another in our room, but I would accept it if she needed it. I made my way into my office so Bella could have some privacy. I knew that there was a mountain of requests that I needed to look over from multiple covens worldwide. It took me several hours before I heard the door to the office open. Thank you for giving me time to be able to talk to Rosalie, Bella said shyly. It was what you needed. I will always give you that. I hope that Miss Hale was able to help you. I told her. Bella just smiled at me. Something that I knew that I needed to be able to see more of soon. BPOV. Once I saw everyone standing there in the reception when Keys and I got back. I panicked and felt like I was being cornered. So I ran. I ran straight into Rosalie. My eyes grew wide as I realized what I had done. So I started apologizing to the blonde beauty in front of me. Bella, calm down. It's okay. I was just coming to look for you. I hoped that we could talk, Rosalie said to me. I just nodded. I wanted to be able to talk to her for some time but was always too scared to. Rosalie seemed to intimidate me whenever I was around her. So if she wanted to talk now, I would happily speak to her. I led her into the room I had woken in, nodding for her to take a seat. Are you sure that it is okay for me to be in here, Bella? She asked me. I couldn't think about why she was asking, so I just nodded that it was fine. This is the room I woke in. I don't see why it wouldn't be okay for you to be here. I think this is just a changing room or something. Keys changed me here. So I told her for some reason. If you're sure, she said once again. I just nodded. Bella, I wanted to be able to apologize to you for being a bitch to you. I didn't want you to be with Edward. I didn't think he was good enough for you. So I tried to put you off being around the family. Rosalie told me. I was surprised. Not that she thought I was no good for her family, but she felt Edward wasn't good enough for me. There is no need to apologize, Rosalie, but I think you have it backward. I wasn't good enough for him. He was just too good for me. It turns out I wasn't good enough for your family anyway, so it's okay. I just wanted to be able to be your friend, but I get it. I told her. It was now her turn to look confused. Is that what you believe, Bella? Why is it? Do you think you couldn't be around Jasper or me too much? Edward was the one who stopped it. He didn't want you to be around us because we would have told you what was happening. That he was just using you for your blood. He didn't love you. He just loved your blood and silent mind. That was all. I'm sorry you have to find out like this. But it wouldn't do you any favors to lie to you. Rosalie said to me. I took a moment to think about what she said. To think about how Edward reacted around me compared to how the rest of the family did. It was here that I saw what she was saying. I was food, only food for him. I'm so sorry, Bella, Rosalie said. What was I supposed to say to that? Yeah, no worries, it's all good. I thought he was hot at the time. So I don't mind the idea he wanted to have a munch, as long as he was munching in the correct area, that is. I couldn't help but laugh out loud at this. I knew that right now I would more than likely seem like I was a little crazy, but hey, maybe I was. Bella, are you all right? Rosalie asked me. Yes, sorry, it's just a little ironic. I begged Edward to have sex with me. I wanted him to eat me sexually. Yet he kept me around because he wanted to eat me, literally. I just find it ironic. Then I come here and get eaten and eaten out anyway. I wanted to be a part of your family, Rosalie, because your family made me feel like they wanted me. I had to raise my parents. I had to cook, clean, and pay the bills for my mother. I had to cook and clean for my father, yet when I was around your family, I didn't have to do any of that. I was able to feel like I was able to be myself. Now I find out that the parents that I looked up to, that I thought cared for me, really didn't. The boyfriend that I thought loved me didn't. And the best friend I thought I had, couldn't have cared less. So again, it's ironic. I told her. Rosalie sat there for a moment before she began to laugh at what I hoped was the irony of the situation. You know, you're right. Well, if you want, I am happy to be your sister you wish to, or even your friend. I know that Emmett would love to be able to stay your big brother. Even Jasper would love to get to know you a little. Rosalie said to me, I really would love that, all of it. But are you sure? The Volturi put your family to death because of me. I asked her, not wanting to get my hopes up too much. I'm sure. Jasper, Emmett, and I had all warned them about their actions, but none of them listened. Emmett and I would leave the family if they refused to stop using their lure against you. The three of us hated their use and repeatedly voiced our disdain. Rosalie let me know as she got more comfortable on the sofa. She still looked a little uncomfortable in this room, but I could not think why. Why does it seem like you are so uncomfortable being in here? I asked her. She looked at me like I was crazy for a moment before her eyes widened. You don't know, do you? Rosalie asked me. Know what? I asked curiously. These are the personal quarters of King Caius. I can smell him on everything that is in this room. This isn't a room they use to change the newborns in. These are Caius' quarters. Rosalie said to me. There is a question that I want to ask. Just because Dimitri wasn't clear about it, Caius has a new mate. Do you know who it is? When we asked, he just started asking what Edward told us about how he. Oh my God, it's you, isn't it? You're Caius' mate. Rosalie asked me. I didn't answer her. I wasn't sure about anything. At this moment, I heard Caius at the door. He stood there momentarily before leaving. Another door opened and closed again. Before hearing what sounded like paper getting sorted. What do you want me to say, Rosalie? I asked her quietly. She pulled me up, and we left the room. She led me towards another set of rooms, opened a door, and saw two other vampires standing there. Two I recognized very well. As well as one I wasn't sure about. I remembered him when I first woke up after arriving here. Jasper, Emmett, how are you both? I asked. But I couldn't help but not feel safe with the man that I recognized when I arrived here. I shouldn't say I don't like him, as I didn't know him, but I didn't like him. Belly Boo, what are you doing here? You're a vamp now. I know I saw you earlier in the throne room, but damn. Now I can take a good look at you. Little sis, I always knew that you would be an awesome vamp. Tell me, did you fall over yet? Emmett asked me. I couldn't help but laugh. He was still the same. Jasper looked different, though. I never realized he had so many scars. It made me wonder how he got them. They all seemed like the scar I got from James. I instantly wanted to know how Jasper got them and hear all about it. I learned from watching him and Emmett fight James that Jasper seemed to be playing with a nomad. So now I wanted to know all about his history and why it seemed like he was toying with someone who was a skilled fighter himself. I should have known that you would be different, Bella. When they look at me, Most people are wary and scared. Yet you are just curious and excited of all things, Jasper said to me, almost asking a question. I couldn't help but smile. I never noticed how we have the same scars. I wanted to know how you got your once and if it had to do with how you were toying with James or not. I told him it was then that the man that seemed to be hovering in the corner burst out, laughing. Who are you? And why are you here? I asked. He sobered rather quickly. I am Dmitri, one of the elite guards, and I was visiting my friend mistress. The man answered. I noticed that he was no longer standing comfortably but instead standing at attention. You can relax, Dmitri, I heard a voice say from behind me. Turning, it was then that I saw one of the brothers, Marcus, I think his name was. I just wanted to come by and welcome you all here and see if there was anything that you needed. And now that I see that young Bella is here also. So it is good to see you up and about, young one. Marcus said with a smile. Jasper, Emmett, and Rosalie said they were fine and thanked him for the Volturi's hospitality. Dmitri calmed. I nodded towards him but didn't say anything. I wasn't sure about anyone here. I only really knew what Edward had told me about the Volturi. The only one of the brothers I was not wary of was Caius, and I already knew why that was. I was not aware that it was already public knowledge. I waited for Marcus to leave before I continued to catch up with Jasper and Emmett. Dmitri, a minute, if you will, Marcus asked before walking out the room. None of us spoke a word until we heard Marcus leave, and Dmitri walked back in, looking a lot more serious. Well, that was strange, Dmitri. Do the kings usually randomly check up on the guests like that? Jasper asked. No, that is the only answer that he received. Jasper just looked at the man and furrowed his brows, looking at him curiously, before looking over at Rosalie and me. Well, I'm going to go. I'll catch up with you all later. Rosalie, it was good talking to you, I said as I got up to leave. You only just got here, Bells, Emmett said. I know, and I'm sorry that I have to leave now. I'll come to find you later on, I told them as I stood, turning to walk out of the room. I made my way as fast as possible toward Caius. I knew he was in his office, so that was where I headed. I listened for a moment to check that he was, in fact, alone before I opened the door and walked in. After that, I just stood there looking at him, wondering how it was that I was so lucky to be able to have found someone like him. There was still a lot I wanted to know about him that I was sure would come in time. JPOV. That was the strangest thing. It was good to see Bella again, but Dmitri was weird. After Bella left, I could corner him before he took off. I have to go, Major. Please do not stop me from my duties, Dmitri said. I'm sure your duties will be able to make her way just fine. Now, what is going on, Dem? I asked him if he wouldn't be forthcoming with me. I was not above persuading him a little. Fine, Master Marcus tasked me to watch over Master Caius' mate. Happy now, you old bastard, he said, a slight glint in his eye. He was one of the worst for gossip that I knew. So it's true then, I said, looking towards where Bella had just left. He just nodded slowly. I ran my hands down my face. Does she know? I asked him. Yes, he was the one to turn her, Dmitri said, but I could tell he was not paying attention. What is she? Dmitri whispered, barely loud enough for me to hear. A shield. Powerful enough that Bella used it while human. I whispered my reply. That explains why I cannot locate her. So I have to leave. Dmitri speeds out of the room, and I let him. He was going to have a lot on his plate guarding Bella. What's going on, Jasper? Emmett asked me. Caius found his true mate, and Dmitri was to guard her, but he cannot locate her at all. As she is a shield, I told them both. Emmett was surprised, Rose not so much. Rose, do you know who it is? Even though Dimitri had already confirmed what I had figured out, I asked. She nodded. Before I brought Bella here, I was talking to her. She thought the room we were in was just in the room where they changed the newborns, but it wasn't. It was the private quarters of King Caius. You could smell him everywhere, on everything. So I think that Bella is his mate. Then, Rose said. I just laughed, mainly because I had also come to that conclusion, but now. Rose seemed pretty sure about everything. Emmett just looked confused. I don't think so. Bella would have told us, surely, Emmett said. Would she, though? Our family did a number on her. Why would you think that she would tell us anything? Rose asked her mate. She had a point, though. Why would she? The three of us spent the next few hours going over ways to redeem ourselves to Bella. But I didn't know if we could, if I was honest. Try to see if there was any way that we all could at least become a little more friendly. I don't know how long we sat there talking about it all, but we all still had not decided about anything. Get your asses to Texas, Major, you and the big lug and the Ice Queen. Pete says we all have to get our asses to Texas. Look, I don't think we will get anywhere at the moment. We keep going over the same shit. Maybe we should give it a while and then come to a visit. I said to Emmett and Rose. Both just looked at each other before nodding their agreement. I left to find the Kings to thank them for their hospitality and let them know that the three of us would be going. BPOV. After I left Rosalie, Emmett, and Jasper, I made my way to Caius. We talked for a while as I sat and watched him as he worked on getting through his paperwork. I had no idea that the Volturi went through so much paperwork. Not even my dad had this much paperwork for the police department. I wondered how long he had been putting off all this paperwork for it to be this large. I had to laugh about it all. Why are you laughing? Caius asked me. How long have you been putting off all this paperwork? It's been here for a while. I asked him. I hate this thing. I put it off on purpose. I would rather be doing anything other than this. Caius smiled at me as he placed down his pen and got up from his desk. If you keep putting it off, don't you think you should keep going until it is all finished so that the pile doesn't get any higher? I asked him. He walked over to me and pulled me up, taking my seat before pulling me down to sit on his lap. I should do, but right now, I think I would rather spend the time with you. Get to know you a little more. Caius said to me. As much as I would like that also, you have work to do, I told him. Caius sighed and rolled his eyes back. Problem being I would rather be inside of you than doing all that paperwork. Caius told me as he started to kiss down my neck. I just moaned. The feeling of his lips on my neck felt terrific. I felt his hands as they began to move down to my waist, down to my hip. He picked me up and repositioned me so that I was straddling him, then attacked my mouth with his, kissing me, making me feel. How long has it been since I could feel anything, honestly? I don't remember. I should stop this. It isn't fair to him. Especially if I'm just going through the motions. Stop. Caius, we have to stop. I can't do this to you. I need time. Please. I told him. I removed myself from his lap and left his office. Making my way towards his quarters, I quickly left a note that I wouldn't be far but that I needed time and packed everything that I knew was mine, which was not much, and went to find another room. I found the man named Dimitri and asked him where an empty suite was that I could use. He leads me to a room. It doesn't take me long to get settled. I lay on the bed and tried and figure out why I turned down the hottest guy the first had ever laid my eyes on. You're confused, aren't you? I heard a woman say. I looked over to see the blonde woman that I first saw wrapped around Caius. Who are you exactly? I growled at the woman. My name is Athanodra. Caius used to call me Dora, and still does really. We have met already. I wanted to know how you were, so I came to see you, to find Caius lying on his bedroom floor. He gave me the note to read. You need to talk to him. You need to tell him what is going on with you. This woman told me. It is none of your business what is going on between Caius and me, I growled at this woman. I know you are scared of getting close to anyone. Who was it that broke your heart? The woman asked me. I just growled at her to get out. The woman just stood there, looking at me. I just want to help you, that is all. The woman continued. I don't want your help. There is nothing wrong, I growled, crouching down. I'm no threat to you, Bella, the woman said. I could not bother remembering her name. Still, I knew that, with vampire memory, her name was Athanodra. I asked you to leave. I again growled. It was at this moment that two others appeared at my door. Bella, calm down, please, Caius asked me while the other male, whom I did not want to remember, was named Alistair and was her mate. He was trying to move the annoying woman out of my sight. Bella, did Dora threaten you in any way? Caius asked, but even I could hear the disbelief in his voice at the question. I tried to answer him, but it came out as a growl. Alistair, take Dora. I will deal with Bella, Caius said, not bothering to look behind him but turning his head in their direction. Once they had left, I kept growling, but this time it was at Caius. I was mad at him. It was not something that he could deal with, but I could not figure out why. I just knew that I was angry at him. Finally, he walked towards me, with his palms held up to see them, walking towards me slowly. Bella, please, I am not going to hurt you. I am going to close the door, and then we will talk. I have someone getting brought up for you. It has been too long since you have fed. Caius said to me. Not even 5 minutes later, I could hear a beating heart coming closer to my door. Once the man, who looked like he could give Emmett a run for his money, walked in, I attacked. I couldn't stop myself. I just jumped on him and tore at his throat to get his blood. PPOV. I had texted the major to get his ass here and bring Emmett and Rose. There was going to be some shit going down. The three of them needed to be a part of it if they wanted to be forgiven by that little filly. Little did any of them know she was more important than they realized. Are they coming? Char asked me. My beautiful petite strawberry blonde mate, my Charlotte. There was not a single thing that I would not do for this woman, including protecting our great-granddaughter. About a dozen hours before Char, I heard a car coming down the driveway. As not a soul, bar one, knew that we lived here. I knew that it couldn't be anyone other than our beloved Major. Char and I went outside, standing on the porch. Once I could see the three of them, waiting to get out of the car so we could greet them. Hey, there, Major, long time no see, getting rid of the pixie bitch yet? Oh, wait, you did? The Volturi kills the bitch, as I told you they would. Funny that, I told the Major. I was crossing my arms in front of my chest, watching as he just shook his head. Yeah, I know Pete, I didn't come here for a speech of, I told ya so's. So how about you get to the point of why ya called us here? The Major said, getting rather annoyed about it all. Well, you gotta be here to kill the redhead and her army that she been putting together. The one that was getting put together right in your backyard. And you didn't even know about it. I told him. Yeah, I knew that I had caught him off guard. But let's face it, that is my grandbaby he was putting in danger. Why do you care about a human suddenly? Rose asked. It wasn't their fault that they had no idea. I should have known that Char would feel threatened. Char attacked Rose before I could hold her back. But I could get her off of Rose before Rose lost any limbs. More to our little family than the Cullens were aware of, and definitely more than the Major was mindful of. Pete, I like you and all, but someone better explain why your mate just tried to tear mine apart, Emmett growled, understandably. Yeah, I think we need to talk. We are all family, after all. I told them. Once we all were seated, I looked toward my Char and waited for her to give the go-ahead. Instead, she just sighed but nodded. Before the major turned Char, she had a family. A daughter named Mary and a son named Charles, who grew up in Tennessee. Char was here in Texas visiting with an aunt when she was found and turned. Mary went on to have a daughter, Helen, and Charles went on to have several children. A son named Emmett was one of them. Helen went on to have a son named Charles, and Charles had a single daughter named Isabella. Does anyone have any questions so far? I asked. You could tell when it all had sunk in. My father was named Charles, always said that his mom died when he was young, Emmett whispered. Finally, he was beginning to make the connection. Now, before the major changed me, I had a daughter named Patricia. Patricia had a daughter named Mary. Mary had a daughter named Renee. Renee had a daughter named Isabella. Any questions? I asked them all. Bella wasn't only Char's grandbaby. She was mine also. You could see when the major made the connection. I thought that he would have been furious. But he looked almost devastated. That almost made me curious. Wait, so both of you have a great-great-granddaughter named Isabella? Rose asked. Yes, Char answered. Bella Swan, her parents Charlie and Renee. You are telling us that the Bella that we know is your grandbaby? The major asked as he got up and started to pace behind the sofa. Yes, Char answered. We just waited. My Nova told me that there would be some pretty big reactions soon. And it wasn't just about this, it would be about the army coming after our grandbaby. It took a while for it to sink in for everyone that Bella was family and that she was in danger because of what the other Cullens had done. What army were you talking about earlier? Emmett asked. The redhead that you have already met up with is creating an army and will be going after Bella. I'm not sure why, but she is, I answered. I could see when he realized who I was talking about in the anger that fell over the trio. Do you have anything in place to go up against the army or what? The major asked me. I called a few people in the area that I knew. They confirmed that an army is being created in Seattle right now. They are getting trained to kill a human that is protected by a coven of yellow eyes. That told me immediately that it was your family, and I went looking for who the human was. I thought Bella was still in Phoenix with Renee, but I was wrong. I went to see them, and someone had burned the house to the ground. There were the charred remains of 2 humans in the place. After talking to the neighbors, I found out that Bella had gone to live with her father, and Renee and her husband Phil were in the house when it was set alight. The 2 of them had been burned alive. I said to my sire, Char and I still had not come to terms with the loss of our family. I had also been informed that someone was currently looking for Charlie. I had ensured that he was well protected. If I had to use the major to do so, I would. Also, Major, I have had to use your clout to protect Charlie. I discovered that there is someone out for him. I don't know why, but there is. Sorry I didn't tell you beforehand when I first found out. I said. Thankfully he just nodded and let it go. I felt his approval and acceptance sent to me, and I felt a little better about what I had done. Someone had gone after my family? Emmett asked, bolting upright, looking furious. I have protected him. A friend of mine, Garrett, is currently watching Charlie now. If anyone gets close, I have asked him to let me know, so that I can make my way up to him. I informed Emmett. We will need to train. We also need to know how many are in the army. The major said, even though it sounded like he was just talking to himself more than anything. At last count from my informant, there were at least 22 newborns. With those numbers, if the 5 of us start training now, we should eliminate them all. Then I will be able to go and find my grandbaby. I said I didn't like that she had disappeared. What do you mean that you have to go and find her? Bella is with the Volturi. As soon as this information sunk in, Char took off out of the front door. Rose told me that the major had taken off, and I assumed to go and get her. What do you mean that she is with the Volturi? I growled. After we had a birthday party for her that went wrong, Edward broke up with her, we all left. Then we all got a summons to go Volterra to be tried for crimes against our race. When we arrived, Jasper asked Dimitri if he could take Jasper, Emmett, and me to the kings. We informed them that we had warned the rest of the family against using their lure against Bella so that she would do their bidding and become more compliant. We let Arrow read us and were invited to become guests of the Volturi and warned about interfering with the newly mated Keys. I met up with Bella, and we talked a little. She told me we could speak in the room where she was turned. It was Key's quarters. Rose told me the Major walked back in the door with Char over his shoulder at that moment and placed her on my lap. There are things you need to know before you go charging off to Volterra. The Major told us. I know. Rose just informed me. I growled. Char just looked at me. Bella is in Volterra and could be the mate of Keys, I told her. There is no could about it. Bella is the mate of Keys. From what Dimitri told me, Keys was the one to change her. The Cullens were still having their trial when Bella completed the change. She entered the throne room at the end of the trial as we received the verdict. Carlyle, Esme, Alice, and Edward were all sentenced to death. The Major told us. I couldn't believe it. I looked down at Char, and from the look of disbelief on her face, she couldn't either. CPOV. I watched as my mate jumped on the human literally and tore his throat out as she drank him dry. I called for Dimitri while I guarded my mate, asking him to find another human for my mate and then find Dora and make sure that she and Alistair were all right. I watched as Bella finished the large man. A few minutes later, Dimitri brought a second human to Bella for her to feed on. The room was covered in blood when she finished. I called for someone to come and clean the room and bring in fresh bedding while I got my mate cleaned up, taking her into the attached bathroom. I removed her clothing. What happened to be left of them anyway? I pulled my own also and brought her into the shower. I slowly washed her hair while I listened to the guards cleaning the room my mate had chosen. For some reason. Why did you leave? I asked Bella. I didn't want to hurt you. But I didn't think it was fair that we kept going. Bella told me as I washed the shampoo out of her hair. I thought it was so long since I had felt anything that it wouldn't be fair for you if I kept what we were doing. But I didn't think it was right, Bella continued. What do you mean that it had been so long since you felt anything? I asked her. Just that. I don't remember feeling anything for Edward whatsoever. I never had a boyfriend before him. I remember feeling frustrated, but that was about all. Look, Keys, I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want you to do something that you would regret later. So I stopped it from happening. Bella said to me. She got out of the shower, grabbed a towel, and started drying herself. I had heard the guard leaving not moments before. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe it, but I knew I wanted to help Bella fix it. I didn't know what to do. I finished in the shower and found Bella sitting on the bed. I walked over to her and sat next to her, trying to think about what to say to her. What is it you do remember? I asked her. You know you are distracting, sitting there wet and naked. Bella giggled. At least you are enjoying it, I told her. She just raised an eyebrow and smirked. I couldn't help but smile and lean back against the headboard. All right. So you don't remember feeling anything, so how about we treat this like what it is? Something new, I asked her. I lay there and just waited for her to decide. How can I treat this as new? I never had a boyfriend before Edward, as I said to you. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be your mate. I don't know what you want me to be. What do you want me to do? Bella told me. I want you to be yourself. That is all. There is nothing that I want. But you, there is nothing else. We could just get to know each other. You and I have not had much chance to get to know each other. There is no expectation. I told Bella. Really? You don't want anything from me at all? Bella asked me. I just shook my head, pulling myself up against the headboard. I pulled her once again onto my lap, wanting to be able to look into her red eyes. I just want you, I whispered to her as I inserted my fingers through her hair, watching as her eyes rolled back in her head from the feeling. Why did you come into this room? I asked her. I wanted to be away from you so I could think clearly. I can't think when I'm around you, Bella told me. You can think clearly in our quarters, I told her. I will not always be there, so it will give you a place to be able to think clearly. I continued as I ran my fingers through her hair repeatedly. Then, as she started to moan from the sensation, I kissed her neck and along her jaw before running my hands down her body to gently massage her hips. Keys, please, I can't. This is why I left. You confuse me. I have no idea what I am meant to do when it comes to you. Bella told me. I just want to kiss you, that is all. You are too tempting, I told her as I kept going with my ministrations. If this is to be your quarters from now on, I will want to be able to kiss you in here. My mate, I continued as I moved and had us both lying on the bed with her under me. I carried on kissing every inch of her exposed skin, listening to her moaning my name in almost a whisper. The feeling of her wrapping her legs around my waist as she tried to pull me closer to her. This will only go as far as you will it to my Bella, I whispered into her ear, just to feel her shiver under me. I want to feel you, Keys, Bella panted, seeming to have trouble breathing even though we did not need air. I smiled as I asked if she was sure. Hearing her whisper yes was all I needed. I ripped her clothing off as if I was a desperate man tempted by the gods' ambrosia. My lips found every inch of her that made her moan my name, and every inch that made her arch her back, making my way down her body, kissing, caressing, nipping, licking. I listened to my mate moan and pant as she wriggled under me as attempted to get me to where she wanted me the most. Patience, my mate, my Bella, I will give you what you desire. I just want to explore you first, I whispered against her stomach. I continued down, crossing each hip, licking and sucking the skin, moving slowly towards her inner thigh. Finally reaching where she wanted me, I slowly licked her little bundle of nerves. Hearing her curse my name simultaneously, she grabbed my hair and pulled me closer to her center. I smiled before I plunged my tongue deep into her while I used my thumb to circle her clit. I closed my eyes and listened to her. Her breathing became heavier, her moaning became louder. I built her up, bringing her closer to climax with each tongue roll and every pass of my thumb. Bella's grip on my hair became tighter as she pulled me closer. The closer she became to her release, I ground my hips into the bed to get some much-needed friction myself. As much as I desired to plunge myself deep within her, I wanted to be able to give this to her first. Bella's grip tightened on my hair painfully as she screamed out my name as she came on my tongue, slowing my ministrations. I slowly brought her down, waiting until she let go of my hair to travel up her body. As I made my way up, I kissed her. When I got to her beautiful breasts, I sucked, nipped, and licked each as I slowly made my way inside her delectable body. As she continued to come down from her high, I slowly thrust into her, beginning the journey again to bring her to climax. My lips met her own, and I enjoyed the feeling of her lips. As she returned to me, I felt her start rolling her hips, meeting me thrust for thrust and building us higher. Finally, as I rolled my hips, she raised her knees, bringing her heel up, encouraging me to move faster, harder, fuck Keys, harder. Bella panted out as she arched her back into me. I gave her what she asked for, rolling my eyes back at the feeling of being inside her. Need harder, faster. God Keys, harder. Bella moaned. She flipped us over, impaling herself, riding me, and slamming down on my cock. I placed my hands on her hips, and helped her ride me. Helped her as she rolled her hips on each downward thrust. I moaned as I pulled her hard onto me, working together to climax. Come with me, Keys, come with me. Bella panted. She worked me quickly toward our common goal, rolling her hips, slamming down on me, twisting her hips as Bella rolled this way and that. I felt as she clenched around me, milking me, as she came, pulling from me my climax. Both of us colliding as we came together, marking each other as we did so. Falling back on the bed, Bella moved to curl up next to me. Pulling her close, I held her. I became more aware of my surroundings and listened as I heard the guards panicking. Then, laughing as I heard one of the lower guards saying that someone should come in and see who was pretending to be me. One wondered if they should report whoever it was. I find myself wanting you to come back to our quarters. This is not somewhere for you to be. This is one of the many rooms we give to the guards. These rooms are not nearly as soundproof as our quarters are. Please come back with me. I will give you my office if you still want space to be on your own. But please, Bella, I asked her, keeping my voice low. Can I think about it? She asked, and I just nodded. As much as I wanted to pick her up and take her back to our quarters, I knew I needed to give her this choice. I got up and went to retrieve my clothing from the bathroom. I left my robe for Bella, as I knew she had no clothes here. I had made sure to rip them all to give her a new wardrobe. I knew that she was aware of this also. Is this because you ripped the last of my clothes? Bella asked me. All I could do was smile. I will wait for you. But please do not take long to make your choice. I need you with me, I told her. I made my way then towards the door. I was waiting until she had covered herself to leave. Then, I opened the door to get greeted by a series of guards who knew nothing about anything. Then, I heard another coming back with, from the sounds, my brother. I stood there waiting, not bothering to say a thing. I watched the guards before me and listened to my mate behind the door. I was watching as Arrow came around the corner and laughed. This is what you brought me here for? So you believe my brother, your master, to be an impostor because you hear what exactly? Arrow asked the idiot. Master Arrow, we believed that it was someone impersonating Master Keys and thought it prudent that we bring it to your attention. The idiot said. Arrow just looked at me and held his hand to me. I took it willingly, letting him see what he needed to but warning him to keep the knowledge to himself. Then, seeing Arrow nod in agreement. This is no impostor. I should let Dimitri and Felix punish you for wasting my time. I think I will. I will inform him why, for the time being, leave our sight, Arrow growled. Brother, if we may have a moment. In my office, Arrow said, but he was attempting to keep the smile from his face and failing. BPOV. I heard everything going on. Some moron thought Keys was an imposter. Fuckwit. I waited until I could no longer hear anything from outside the door and put the robe that Keys gave me on. I waited a while until I was sure that I couldn't hear anything before making my way into the bathroom. Once again, I cleaned myself up, drying and placing the robe on. Sitting back on the bed, I thought about my options. I knew I could not be away from Keys for long, making my mind up. I placed my shoes on my feet and opened the door. Well, if it isn't the slut that got Keys into bed. Who are you anyway? A guard asked me. He had a similar build to what Jasper had. But this vampire had dark brown hair instead of honey blonde. I tried to ignore him and move past but was stopped by another guard. I don't think so. Answer the question. Who are you? None of us has seen you before. The second man asked me. It is none of your business who I am. Now can I please pass? I asked. Both of them just laughed at me. I started to feel like I was being backed into a corner. It felt very reminiscent of the incident in Port Angles. I don't think so, the first man said, shoving me back into the room. Leave me be, I said to them both. Again the two men laughed. Then, stepping closer to me, causing me to move back into the room I had just exited. I think she is one of the fishes we have heard so much about. What do you think, Dominic? The first man asked. I think you're right. I think we should test how good the lure is. I would like to be able to get first dibs for once. The second man, Dominic, replied. I became scared for the first time in my vampire life. Gone was the brave woman who was about to tear apart my mate's ex-wife. Here stood a scared little girl. I was pushed back. I stumbled but was able to find my footing before I fell. The first man pushed me again, but I hit the bed and fell onto it this time. Before I could get up, I was pinned down. Dominic had his hand clasped over my mouth, preventing me from screaming and calling for Keys. They ripped Keys' robe and forced my legs open. The first man flipped me over, pushing my face into the bed and holding my arms behind my back. I felt him grab my ankles and pull them up, forcing my legs open. Hearing the zipper, I felt my fear skyrocket. Then I felt the sharp, painful thrust of being entered. I screamed into the mattress. All I could hear was them laughing. I fought them as much as I could, but they were stronger. I cried out as loud as I was able to for Keys. I knew that he would not be able to hear me. The more I fought, it seemed, the more they enjoyed it. I quickly gave up screaming for Keys, giving it up for crying out in pain. At this time, I heard the door getting torn off its hinges. I felt the sharp, painful removal of the man that had forced himself inside me. Felt myself being released from being held down. Heard the sound of metallic tearing. I knew that it was the two vampires that were being torn apart. I didn't want to move. Being raped as a vampire, the pain was horrific. I cried due to the pain, cried because I wished to have Keys holding me. Once the sound of tearing had ended, I felt someone place a blanket over me. Shush, Bella, I'm right here. I need you to tell me if you can let me pick you up. I was asked. I knew I could trust the voice, knew who it was Keys. But I couldn't stop crying for him. I'm going to pick you up and take you back to our quarters, okay? He asked. I tried to nod but didn't know if I was. Then, I felt him pick me up, screaming as he did so. I'm sorry, darling, I will be as fast as I can, he told me. I could hear the pain in his voice. I heard him yell for Arrow and Sulpicia. I heard him yell for Dora. He was right, though, he was as fast as he brought us into our bedroom. I heard several people enter the room. I panicked. Shush, it's okay. I called for Sulpicia and Dora to help you. They are the only ones I can trust. They won't hurt you, Bella. They both just want to help. I need to talk to Arrow. Can I talk to Arrow for a moment? I will come back as fast as I can. Keys said to me. I could only listen to him and not bring myself to look at him. I didn't want to see the anger and disappointment on his face. I didn't want to see the pity that could also be there. I tried to nod, let him know it was okay to leave, even if I didn't want him to go. CPOV. I left with Arrow after leaving my Bella. I knew that I needed to give her space to make her choice in peace. Following Arrow, he laughed at the stupidity of the lower guard that we had. Especially as it was time for the lower guard to be evaluated. I knew that Arrow and I had guards to go over to see who would be assessed for promotion, if any. We spent a couple of hours going over the files of the guard. I felt it then, panic, fear. Then came blinding pain. I knew it was Bella's. I ran out of Arrow's office as fast as possible. I heard her screams before I rounded the corner. I tore the door down and was greeted by two of the lower guards raping my mate. They were holding her down and raping her. I didn't feel it happen. I was thrust back into the recesses of my mind. I watched as the being I had long thought gone took over and tore apart the vampires that violated my mate, my Bella. Tore them apart and calmed her. I was placing a blanket over her. He asked her if he could pick her up, letting her know he would be as fast as possible, asking if he could take her into our quarters, and seeing her slight nod was all he needed. We ran with our mate, calling for Arrow, Sulpicia, and Dora on the way. He told her that he needed to talk to Arrow, that she would be safe with Sulpicia and Dora, and that they only wanted to help. At her nod, he dragged Arrow out of the room. At this moment, I knew that Arrow could tell. This was my demon. Do what you must. Your mate must be protected. Arrow answered. I ran down to the lower guard's wing. I felt myself accept what I knew was about to happen. At this moment, I felt myself become one with my demon. We no longer were separate. I took a deep breath and knew it was Felix and Alec. We are here to stop any form leaving at Master Arrow's request, Felix told me. I indicated that I heard him by nodding my head. I stopped in the wing that the lower guard occupied. I stood there and felt the growl rip forth from my chest. Looking around, I didn't know what I was hoping to find. I did not expect shreds of the robe I had given my Bella all over the floor. I called for all the lower guards to come forward. Once they were all in attendance, I tore them all to shreds. I was making sure that not a single one survived. Once finished, Felix approached me, letting me know that Arrow was reading all the remaining guards. Burn every one of their remains. I do not want even a hair left. I growled. Both of them nodded before getting to work. I made my way up the ranks, and the only guards left were a handful of the upper guards. The rest, I instructed to go to the throne room and wait for further instruction. Once I made my way back to Arrow, I held my hand out for Arrow to read before I left to spend time with my mate. APOV. The idea that the lower guards are under the assumption that you were an imposter is a rather ludicrous notion at best, brother. I feel, though, that we do need to make a plan. I said to Caius after talking about the matter for a while and turning to see him looking fearfully at the door. Seconds later, I saw him running out the door. I was curious about what could have brought that reaction from him. I followed him. It was not long before I heard Isabella's screaming. The pained, fearful scream sent chills up my spine. It was then that I knew I followed Caius to the door, and my fears were confirmed. I turned and ran back towards the tower where my mate was, informing her that her services would be in need. What is the matter, Arrow? Sulpicia asked me. Caius will call on you soon, my love, his Isabella. The lower guard has. Please, Pisha, I don't know what I would do if it were you. I said, barely able to get the words out. No, don't tell me, they didn't, did they? She asked, horrified. I nodded. We then both heard Caius calling for both of us, calling for Dora. The lower guard will no longer be Arrow. You understand this. You will be lucky to have a guard left after this. Pisha said to me, I don't care. If it were you, I would burn everything to the ground. As long as you were safe once again. I told her. We met Caius as he ran with Isabella to his quarters. Shush, it's okay. I called for Sulpicia and Dora to help you. They are the only ones I can trust. They won't hurt you, Bella. They both just want to help. I need to talk to Arrow. Can I talk to Arrow for a moment? I will come back as fast as I can, we heard Caius say. Seconds later, he came out. I discovered two of the lower guards violating my mate. So I am just giving you a warning. Arrow, the lower guard, and any else I see fit are going to burn today, Caius told me. Anything you wish, brother. If you allow it, I will stand guard for you to keep your Isabella safe. I asked. Caius gave his permission and ran towards the guard's wing. I called for Alec and Felix. Follow Master Caius, do anything he asks of you, without question. A tragedy has occurred to his mate. Go. Both of them bow before going to Caius to help. Both looked horrified. Marcus, please, if you will, join me. I called my other brother. Arrow, why is it I hear all of this commotion? Marcus asked, just as Isabella screamed in pain. I knew, hearing Pisher and Dora doing their best to help her. I need you to send out a call. We require new guards. Caius is in the process of decimating our ranks as we speak. So I told him, unsure if I should inform him of the tragedy that had befallen one of our queens. What happened to Isabella? Marcus asked when hearing the second curdling scream from Isabella. Caius discovered her being raped by two of the lower guard, I whispered. But unfortunately, I did not get time to ask anything else before he made his way into Caius' quarters. Daddy, please make it stop, I heard Isabella ask. At this moment, I learned that Marcus saw Isabella as his daughter, and she saw Marcus as her father. Pisher, Dora, please leave her. I will care for her, you may stay in the room. As Caius requested, but please, I will care for my daughter, Marcus said. I was able to hear the pain in his voice. I watched as I saw Isabella clamber into the arms of Marcus, clinging to him like a lifeline. She was crying into his shirt and begging for him to take her pain away. An hour later, Caius came back and held his hand to me. I saw that he decimated most of the guard, leaving only a handful, but required them to be read. He had demanded that they make their way into the throne room for me to read. Thank you, brother. I will do so. There has been a new development. It seems that Isabella has created a daughter bond with Marcus. He is with her right now, and Pisher and Dora are in the room. Isabella asked him to take her pain away, so I thought it prudent to inform you. I told him. I watched as Caius nodded and walked into his quarters. I made my way into the throne room, where I found all the remaining guards. The elite guards remained, and so did half a dozen remaining regular guards. I will be reading you today. Jane, please guard the door. Santiago, the other door. Not a single being leaves this room until my two brothers and I are satisfied with the results that we find. If you fail, it will be your life. I informed them, angry that something of this nature could have befallen my new sister. Once they arrived, I took my time and read each of the guards, including Felix and Alec. 3 hours later, I was finally finished reading the guard, happy to find that none of them knew about the tragedy that befell their queen. Then, I heard the doors open and saw Caius walk in. Furious still, what is the verdict, Arrow? Caius demanded. I read each of them to the fullest extent of my abilities. The ones you left are innocent. It will now be up to you and, to a lesser extent, Marcus to decide what to do. I will agree with anything you ask. I told him. Thank you, brother, Caius whispered low enough for only my ears. He glared at each of the guards, a look I had never seen fall on my usually angry brother's face. It spoke volumes. A crime has been committed. You all are the lucky ones. But a word of warning, a single hair out of line will cost you a high price. So tread carefully. Caius told them all before he ran from the room at the sound of Isabella's scream. I watched the guards closely as Caius spoke to them, even closer when they heard Isabella scream. All looked terrified as Caius' threats sunk in. Once Caius left, I only had to wait a few moments until Marcus came in. Results, Arrow, Marcus growled at me. Innocent brother, by the full extent of my abilities, I informed him. You have luck on your side this day. I will fight my brother for the right to tear you apart and burn the pieces if you step out of place. A crime has been committed against your queen. My daughter, your rank on this guard means not any longer, no longer. Be glad the god of war is not here. My daughter is his family by blood. Marcus said Caius had terrified them. Marcus's anger had cemented that fear. Not many knew about Isabella. She had yet to get introduced to the guard. None knew that her bonds ran deep within the Volturi. Not even I did until recently. You may go, but heed the warning you have received, I told them. Then, I watched as the guards all left the throne room. I walked away toward Caius' quarters. I was knocking on the door, hoping I would gain access. Come in, Arrow, I heard Caius call. seeing everyone I cared about in this one space. So I stayed until Isabella acknowledged me, as I did not want to startle her. "Hello, Arrow," I heard her whisper from Key's lap. I smiled at her and slowly took a small step closer, looking towards Keys for approval. At his nod, I came closer, sitting next to my mate. "Hello, Isabella. Is there anything that you require?" I asked her. She looked up slightly at Keys before she shook her head. "No, thank you," Isabella whispered. "I like having my family around me. I feel safe now." We heard Isabella whisper to Keys, who smiled down at her. "We are all your family, but you have more family, dear one. And we will call them here if you wish it." Marcus told her. "Rosalie, Jasper, and Emmett. Please?" Isabella asked. I left immediately, picking up the phone and calling the number I had for the feared Major. "Hello, Major Whitlock. Yes, this is Arrow Walchuri. I am calling on behalf of Isabella. She requests that you, Rosalie Hale, and Emmett Cullen return at your earliest convenience." I informed him. "What happened to my granddaughter?" A new male voice asked. "Who is this, please?" I asked. "Peter Whitlock. Isabella is my granddaughter by blood. Now what has happened to her?" "Ah, so this was the feared captain. It would be best if you traveled with the Major. This is not a conversation over the telephone. Please," I said after hearing his sigh. The captain let me know that they all would be immediately on their way to Volterra. After I hung up, I went back into Key's quarters and told Isabella they were on their way. BPOV. I didn't want to be anywhere else other than in the arms of my Keys. Despite all that had just happened, it was him that I wanted. As soon as Keys left to talk to Arrow, I knew what he would do. I knew he would kill those responsible, and I was okay with that. But, before he left, the two women came in. I saw that he believed his words. He trusted these women with me. So I trusted these women. They helped me into the shower and helped me get clean, speaking softly every time, letting me know what they were doing and what they would be using. "Isabella, sweetheart, my name is Supisha. I'm going to run this cloth over your legs, okay? I need to be able to get their venom off you. It might hurt a little as your skin is sensitive. But I will be as gentle as I can," the woman, Sulpisha, said to me. I nodded and started to cry once again. "Bella, sweetie, it's me, Dora, you know me. While Sulpisha is washing your body, I am going to wash your hair. Can you tell me if there is anything that you want me to do with it? Or do you want to wait a little while?" Dora asked me. "Off, cut it off, please, take it off," I begged her. She nodded, and before I knew it, they held me close under the water spray. "I can cut your hair for you, darling," Dora told me as they both held me close, cooing and letting me know I was alright and safe. Once I was cleaned up and my hair cut, they brought me back to the small lounge in my Keys room, and we just sat there and held me close as I cried. Minutes later, another man came in. As soon as I saw him, it was strange. I felt like he was my father. He was going to be my father. "Daddy, please make it stop," I asked, begging him to take it all away. He came over and told the women to leave me alone and came and picked me up, placing me on his lap and letting me cry like a baby into his chest. He sat there with me and held me just like Dora and Sulpisha had, but this felt different. The only difference was that I could no longer cry real tears. It was dry tearless sobbing. I felt more secure. What felt like a few hours later, I heard murmuring outside the door. Feeling scared, I curled up into my new father's lap. "Shush, little one, it is only Keys talking to Arrow," he told me. I felt so relieved. "Keys," I said quietly. "Yes, he will be coming in shortly," he whispered to me. He was running his hand through my newly shortened hair. I felt it when Keys came in, but I still could not look at him. Keys was the only one I could not look at. I didn't want to see his pity. Even if I wanted to feel his arms around me, I knew he was the one person I would feel the safest with because he was my mate. I stayed with my new father for a while before I couldn't stand it any longer. Keys, please, I asked him with my face still tucked into my father's shirt. My father stood with me, gently handing me to my keys. It was soothing to be in Keys' arms, but I wished I could sleep. I ached everywhere. I could feel the tears that those men had created healing slowly, which caused me to scream in pain, crying out for it to get taken away. I just wanted the pain to go away. But instead, I felt safe, surrounded by these people. I knew somehow that they would not hurt me, that they would not let anyone hurt me. Come in, Arrow, I heard Keys call towards the door. Hello, Arrow, I said as I saw him coming closer to Keys and me. Hello Isabella, is there anything that you require? Arrow asked me. No, thank you, I whispered. I like having my family around me. I feel safe now. I continued. We are all your family, but you have more family, dear one. And we will call them here if you wish it. My father told me, Rosalie, Jasper, and Emmett. Please, I asked. For some reason, I wanted them with me. Arrow left then, and I got handed several glasses of warm blood. I didn't want to have it, though. Bella, you need to feed so that you can heal faster, he said. Not hungry, I said. I know, but please, drink. You will feel better for it. You will heal faster. Please, my love, drink. Keys asked me. Sighing, I took the cup and ran the best I could into the bathroom. Once the door was closed, I locked it and drank the blood. I knew that he was right, that it would help me. I also knew it would help me heal faster. I didn't want Keys to see me. Bella, come out, please, darling, I heard Keys ask. I sat down and tried to keep quiet. I didn't know what I wanted right now. But I didn't want to drink any more blood. I didn't want to feel my family's eyes on me all the time. I didn't want to see their pity. All I could see when I closed my eyes were those two men, pushing me, holding me down, entering me, hurting me, groping me, rubbing themselves on my head, and holding my face into the mattress of the bed. Hearing myself call out for Keys, and he wasn't there. I should have never left and gone to that room. I hurt him. I had no idea if I would be able to be with my mate ever again. They ruined me. I could feel myself healing from what they had done. I felt so dirty. I could still feel them on me. I turned the shower on before I began to look around for anything that I could use to get a feeling of them off my skin. Unable to find anything, I grabbed a washcloth I saw under the basin. I got in the shower and used the washcloth to clean myself. I soon felt the cloth give way and felt my nails scraping my skin. Clean, have to get clean, feel dirty, I whispered. I watched as my venom started to run down my arms and legs. As venom ran down my breasts and stomach. Need to get clean. I again whispered to myself, Bella, darling, can I come in? I stopped as I heard Keys at the door. I was looking at the door. I didn't answer, just kept sitting there and cleaning the men's hands off me. I was not sure how long I was sitting on the shower floor, but I heard voices on the other side, heard the lock on the bathroom door getting picked. I ignored it all. I just needed to get clean. Bella, oh honey, I know you need to get clean. Will you let me help you? I heard. I looked up and saw Rosalie standing beside me with another woman I didn't recognize. I growled and pulled Rosalie into the shower behind me. Bella, it's okay. This is Char. She's family, Rosalie said, slowly coming around to face me. I looked at her. I didn't see pity. I saw sorrow and understanding. Rosalie, it hurts. I need to get clean. I can feel them. I told her as I went back to sitting on the shower floor and scrubbing my skin. I know. I'm going to get Char to get you some more blood. Keys said they tried to get you to feed, but you came in. Can you drink for him, please? He's worried about you, honey. Rosalie told me. I heard the door open the close again, and Rosalie stayed. She turned up the water so it was hotter and slowly reached for my hands, stopping me from scrubbing my skin. She then put some soap on the cloth and washed my skin, telling me the whole time that she was helping me to get them off. I don't know how, but it worked. Call me Rose, honey. Family calls me Rose. I know what you're going through. It happened to me. It was how Carlyle found me, bleeding to death in a back alley. I had lost too much blood, so he decided to turn me. Not long after that, I found Emmett, and he changed my life. Emmett helped me in ways no one else could. Emmett held me when I cried. Emmett stood guard when I ran and was there for me even if I knew everyone else was. Also, I knew he was the one that was going to protect me above all else. Caius is going to be that for you. I know you think he will pity you, but he won't. He will always worry about you. Rose said to me. She pulled me up and helped me get dry. Walking to the door, she called Emmett and asked for some dry clothes. A minute later, Char came in with dry clothes and a glass of fresh blood. You need to be able to heal. I know that you probably don't want to drink this, but you need to, Rose told me. I'm scared, but I know I can trust my family. I have a new father, Caius, and everyone else in the next room I can trust. That I know will never hurt me. I can't bring myself to look at any of them. I'm sure that all I will see is their pity, and I don't want to get pitied. So I told her as I drank my glass of blood. Rose helped me get dressed, and before I knew she had called for Jasper. I felt like I was drifting off to sleep. CPOV. Miss Hale was helping Bella, something I could not do. The Whitlocks had arrived a little while ago. Marcus let us know that the Whitlocks and Mr. Cullen were blood family of my Bella's. I debated with myself for a time when Miss Hale asked where my Bella was. Where is Isabella? A young man asked. I speed over to him and grab him by the throat. How dare he speaks to me as he did. Watch how you talk to me, child. My mate's whereabouts are not of your concern. I growled at him. Sorry. I'm just worried about her. The fool in front of me answered. Bella is my blood, my great-great-granddaughter. I allowed the women to see my Bella. I informed them that they must be very gentle with her at the moment, as she has recently gone through quite the ordeal. But I was not willing to tell them what it was. I wouldn't say I liked that I could not reach Bella now, that she would not allow me to help her, be close to her. But I understood that when a woman goes through something like this, most wanted time to get clean. So I watched as the two went into the bathroom. Bella, oh honey, I know you need to get clean. Will you let me help you? We all heard when Miss Hale spoke. Bella, it's okay. This is Char. She's family, Miss Hale said. She was speaking so we could all hear. Rosalie, it hurts. I need to get clean. Can feel them, we heard Bella say. I couldn't take hearing my mate's pain. I left my quarters, not caring that so many people were in there, that it was no longer a sanctuary for my mate and myself. I went and made my way into the throne room. Felix, Dimitri, I called as I walked over to my throne. They arrived quickly soon after. Are there any set for trial? I asked. Yes, Master, there are. Would you like me to bring you the schedule? Felix asked me. No, just bring them. The first ones you see will be the first I tend to, I said. I did not have to wait long. I went through them all and could not find a single one so far that deserved to live. Master, we have one who arrived just now asking for an audience. Shall we bring them in, Master? Dimitri asked. I nodded. The two were ones I had heard of and met previously. I had also told the two to keep out of trouble, or I would end the miserable lives they chose to lead. Master Caius, we need the help of the Volturi. A coven killed my mate over a human pet. I have tried everything to kill the responsible ones but cannot even get close. I will do anything if you can give me some assistance with this. The redhead asked me, who was this Coven? I asked. The Cullen's master. Her companion answered. They are dead already. The Coven had no human pet. I answered. I knew that they had, but she was now my mate. They did, master. Her name was Isabella Swan. She knew of our race, knew the secret. But they refused to turn her, Victoria told me. I looked over at Dmitri, knowing he already knew about it. Dmitri, you were tasked with keeping a watch over that Coven. Did they have a human pet? Was there another that was a member of the Coven? I asked. No, master, there was no human pet with them, Dmitri answered, thankful that he caught on. Well, that answers that then. It sounds like your mate, whom I know was not your mate at all, just your companion. And it seems like you do not like that James finally got what he deserved. When I saw you three last, I warned you that I would have your lives for my fire if you did not stay out of trouble. And now you are back in front of me. Your lives are forfeit. If you have anything to declare, do so now. I told them, Victoria has created a newborn army to go after the human. She has found where the human had been taken and was able to infiltrate and hurt the girl already. So the vampire Laurent told me. I was furious. Alec, I growled through my teeth. Then, glaring at the woman, I watched as Alec took away her senses. Laurent, just because you have given me this information, I will give you a swift death. But there is no confusion, your sentence is still death. So I told the two elite guards. They tore the vampire apart before setting him alight. Dmitri, Felix, if you will. Jane, please let Arrow know we have a special guest, I said, still glaring at the woman under her brother's control. I did not have to wait long for Arrow to come in. Brother, we are not expecting anyone, Arrow said as he looked over at the redhead. I think it would be prudent for you to read her, brother. There is some new information that has come to light. I told him, looking over to Arrow, taking my eyes off the redhead for just a moment. I saw Arrow raise his eyebrows in question. I looked toward the direction of my quarters quickly before looking back, seeing Arrow taking a step back, looking surprised before anger took over. Arrow marched over to the woman, placing a hand around her neck. It was true. Dmitri, Felix, kill this woman, then take two others and find her army. I suggest you also approach the Major and his Southern Wars companions to go with you. Arrow said he was seething. She approached the two in question. They knew what they were doing, and they knew who she was. Also knew who she was to you, brother. Arrow continued and said to me under his breath, just loud enough for me to even hear him. I will be joining Dmitri and Felix to search for this army. No need to send the Major and his companions. I told Arrow. I made my way to my office, where I kept a change of clothes. After changing, I went to see if Bella had yet come out of the bathroom. The bathroom door was open. I looked around and saw that she was looking like she could have been asleep on our bed. Rose called for the Major, and I asked Jasper to put her to sleep for a while. Essentially, it will be the easiest way to get some blood into her without her fighting us, the captain said to me. I walked over to her and wiped her hair away from her face. She looked so peaceful. I wondered then if I was doing the right thing. Yes, I was. Even if she did not know about the army, she deserved to have retribution. But instead, I left my mate in the capable hands of my family. You all can use my office to convene in, but please, if you can, all leave our quarters. Miss Hale, you, and you alone can come here to help my mate, as she seems to trust you. But please, none other. Now, if you can all leave. I asked. I motioned in the direction of my office as that would be close enough for the Major to influence my mate still. Once they had all left, I also did. I met up with Dmitri, Felix, Jane, and Alec and searched for the army after my mate. BPOV. Opening my eyes, I felt like I had been asleep for a week. Then, finally, I felt rested, and I felt ready to face the day. Then it all came crashing back. Curling into a ball, I pulled the blankets up around me, taking a deep breath in, smelling keys in the fibers of the blankets. My rational mind knew that I needed to try and find a way to get through this for Keys' sake and my own. I knew my body had already healed. I could no longer feel the wounds knitting together. What was I meant to do? Keys, I called. There was nothing. Keys, I called again. I got out of bed and went to look in his office. He was not there. I went back into the bedroom and dressed. I decided to follow his scent. I followed it to the throne room. But it was faint. I couldn't help but think the worst. He's left me. I'm too damaged for him. I fell to my knees, not wanting to believe it, but my fears began to take over. The same fears told me that my mate had left me because of what his guards had done to me. The guards that he and his brother paid their wages if they received wages. So my illogical mind told me my mate had paid those guards to rape me so that he could leave me. Because I was useless and nothing. Bella, honey, calm down, come on now. It's all right, you're safe, honey, I heard Rosalie say to me. I felt her pull me into her and hold me tight. I pushed her away. I couldn't do this. I had to get out of here. I wasn't going to stay in a place where Keys didn't want me at all. So I ran as fast as possible but ran straight into someone. Bella, darling, are you all right? Where are you running to? I heard the most heavenly voice ask me. I can't be here, I said a little louder than a whisper. Where do you want to go then? I'll take you anywhere, he said. I started to panic. I couldn't be around him. I'm gonna get her to sleep some more. I heard from behind me before there was nothing. I woke up. That was an odd feeling, considering I knew that vampires didn't sleep at all. I knew that Jasper would likely have something to do with this. I could feel someone holding my hand and taking a deep breath. I could tell that it was my Keys. I remember panicking. I also remember that my mind told me that because you paid the guards wages, you paid them to rape me, just to get rid of me cause you didn't want me around anymore. I told him in some way. I wanted to know if there was any truth to the thought. But I knew that there wasn't. The one that convinced those men, those guards that I paid to rape you, she is dead. They knew who you were. I went to find the army she created to kill you, and I destroyed it. I did this for you. I would not have bothered with it if I did not want you. So do what you will, Isabella. Keys told me. I felt him remove his hand from mine. I heard him get up and heard Keys walk away. I could only guess that he knew what I would think or even feel about him doing that. I got out of bed again, dressed, and left the room. I need to apologize to Keys. I searched everywhere but could not find Keys. So I left the castle. I did not stray far, though, as the pain of being far from Keys became too much. I sat in the shadows, watching the people walk by, listening to their happy chatter and laughing. Nothing at this moment bothered them. I knew that I had hurt him, but telling him what I had. But I thought he would have wanted to see. I was wrong. Isabella, what are you doing down here? You could get seen. I heard a voice tell me. It was one that I did not recognize, so I ignored it. You look like Renee, but I can see so much of Charlie in you. You're headstrong and stubborn like Char and me. I know Rose told you that Char is family. She wasn't lying. Char and I are your family. I'm your mom's great-grandfather, and Char is your dad's great-grandma. Even Emmett is your cousin by blood. If you want to know, my name is Peter Whitlock. Jasper is my uncle, so he's your family. So you have a lot of family around you, the man, Peter, said to me. I don't care who you are. Can you please leave me alone? I told him. I heard him sigh. He's going out of his mind trying to find you. I know he's hurt by the things that got said, and you got hurt by what he said too. I don't know what happened, The brothers refuse to tell anyone. Rose thinks she knows what happened but keeps quiet about it all. Peter said, ignoring what I asked. I got raped by 2 of the Volturi guards. Happy, now you know. I told him. I stood and took off towards the forest. I just wanted to be alone for a while. I would end up going back soon, but I just needed to have some time alone for now. POV. Isabella dropped the bombshell of a lifetime. I made my way back inside quickly. I knew that Jasper would be able to feel my emotions, but I didn't care. I found Caius and punched him. I had listened to him talking to Arrow and Marcus about how she said what was going on was because they paid the guards. So he did whatever it was to get rid of her, then he pissed off, and so did she. So when I found her, the hurt was rolling off her in waves. I just had no idea what the cause was. Your guards raped my grandbaby, and you're playing the victim. I don't care if you are my king. You don't deserve Isabella. So, Char, we're leaving. I told my mate, and she got up and followed me out. I needed to find Isabella. I had to keep an eye on her while she was out there. You talked to her? Char asked me. Yeah, you could feel the hurt rolling off her. We all heard her, heard what she said to Caius, and the fool has the gall. I know he must be hurtin', but that's gotta be nothing compared to what our grandbaby is feelin'. I told her I was still pissed. But Isabella needed us more. I see her, Char said as she took off. I slowed down while still keeping Char in my sight. Isabella, it's me, Char. You remember me from when I came to see you with Rose? Char asked her. I watched as Isabella nodded her head that she remembered. Peter, my mate, told me he found you. Thought I would come and see if you wanted some company. Char asked her. I waited and watched while my grandbaby looked at Char and seemingly assessed if she was being truthful or not. Before nodding, she would. Yes, please, Isabella answered. Is my mate worried about me? Isabella asked. Yeah, he is. Peter walloped and laid into him a little, telling him he didn't deserve you. I don't know how you feel about that, but Pete was pretty angry at your mate. Char said. Yeah, I bet he was. But he got it wrong. I'm the one that doesn't deserve the mate that I got. He went and found and fought a newborn army for me. It was created to kill me, he destroyed it. My mate is hurting because of what happened, and I understand that. I was trying to be open with him. I thought that happens in relationships. I was wrong. My name is Bella, by the way. Isabella said to Char. Isabella stood and started knocking down a few trees. We watched Isabella strip the tree bark. I just stood there wondering what she was doing. What are you doing, Bella? Char asked. Isabella didn't say anything. She just kept going. It soon became clear what she was doing. She seemed to be building a log cabin, a bright young thing. I spent days out here watching Char and Isabella build the cabin. The building grew, and before long, the sides had been completed. Then, on the 3rd day, I felt like I was being watched. Turning around, I stood there looking into the eyes of my grandbaby's mate. Has she been safe? Has she been happy? Caius asked me, never once taking his eyes off of Isabella. Yes, she has been safe. I wouldn't say she's been happy, I told Caius. He stayed for a while and just watched her. I had to admit he looked miserable, just like Isabella did. Why does it look like she is building a residence? Caius asked me. Because she is. You would have to ask her for a reason as to why. I told him. I heard as he took a deep breath before walking over to Isabella. I wanted to stop him. I tried to stop her from being miserable. But I knew they needed each other just like Char and I needed each other. Bella, may we please talk for a moment? Caius asked. Isabella stood there looking unsure. I'll let you both talk. I need to catch up with my mate anyway, Char said before starting to head over to me. She will be fine, She misses him. But Bella doesn't feel like she is welcome in the castle anymore. That's why she is building the cabin. I would like to know how she knows how to do this, though. She refused to tell me. Char said. I just snickered. I was pretty sure that just knowing shit was in her blood. Seems like she just knows shit. Maybe she refused to tell you because she couldn't tell you, I said to Char. Char just laughed. Well, if you go by that logic, then our granddaughter will be all-knowing while knowing nothing, asshole. However, I don't see her being like that. On the contrary, she's kind, loving, highly considerate, Char told me. I sighed, knowing that my mate was correct. CPOV. I finally found her. I watched her from a distance for a while. I knew that she was safe, her grandparents were with her, keeping her so. I spent a few days just watching her. Captain Whitlock did not know about me being there until the third day when I decided to make myself known to him. I talked to the captain and asked him if she was alright, safe, or happy. Then, I asked him why she was building a cabin. Then, deciding to talk to her, her grandmother left us alone, leaving us to talk. I want to apologize for all my past sins against you. You were the one that was hurt, and I wanted to try and fix you. I wanted to try and make you better. I think I failed relatively remarkably at that. I told Bella. She just laughed at me. I'm not someone you can fix. When I told you what was going through my mind, it was just that. Something that was going through my mind. I know that you never paid those vampires to do that. I hurt you when I told you what I did, but I was also hurt. I wanted you with me. 1 minute I was in the bathroom with Rose. The next minute I was all alone in bed doing the impossible, waking up from a night of sleep. I called out for you. You were nowhere to be seen. I tried to find you. But when I went to follow your scent, it was faint and led me to the throne room. I panicked. Rose found me, Jasper put me to sleep, and then you were there. And I knew I had to tell you the truth, tell you what was on my mind, and make me feel like I'm not welcome in your home. So I came here and started to make my own. I'm only here because I physically cannot be any further away from you. It hurts too much otherwise. Bella told me I knew I had fucked up. I should have stayed with her instead of going to find the army. I'm sorry. That was all I could say to her. For someone so old, you are an idiot, Bella told me. She fell to the ground and just sat there. I stood there, knowing that she was correct. I was an idiot. Sit down, Keys, please, Bella asked. I did as she asked. I want to be able to have you come home. The castle is your home, just as much as it is mine. But if you truly do not want to live there, I will give you anything you want. As long as I can come with you. I told her. Bella looked at me for a moment, like she was calculating some risk. Fine, I don't want to live here. I want to live back in the States. Bella told me. I closed my eyes and just nodded. Of course. When would you like to leave? I asked her. Right now, Bella answered. I stood and reached out to help her up. Bella just looked at my hand and stayed where she was. You really would leave all this behind, for me? Bella asked. Of course, I would. It would be hard, to begin with, but I would do it. First, I need to inform my brothers that I am curious about where you would like to go. I have properties in many areas of America. If you would be agreeable, we could use one. If not, I can sell them all and get something new for the two of us. If you do not want me to be with you, all I ask is that we live close together. I said to Bella, curious about what she was thinking. But you're one of the kings? Bella asked. And I would give it all up just to be a part of your life. To me, it was this simple. No, I can't let you do this. Bella then got up and ran towards the castle. I was confused. Following her as much as I could, I found her in reception. Thankfully it was the middle of the night, and no humans were around right now. What do you want, Bella? You don't want to be here in the castle with me. You don't want me to give this all up for you. What do you want from me? What do you want me to do? I asked her, my voice rising as I was getting increasingly frustrated. I don't know. I don't know. What am I meant to do, Caius? Bella asked. I turned her around to look at me. She looked scared. She kept looking around the room as if she was going to be attacked at any moment. Pulling her to me, I held her and kept telling her that she was all right and safe with me. I listened to her as she broke down. Then, feeling her grab my shirt and pull me closer to her, I held her tight, not wanting to move her from this room, but I picked her up and took her to our quarters. We sat for hours in silence. I knew that it was the strength and safety my mate needed and that it was what I happily gave her. I heard my brothers knock at my door a few times but ignored them. I knew that it was inevitable that I would need to deal with my brothers and the vampire world again, but it was not at this time something that was of my concern. We are going to need to figure out what to do, darling. I want to be able to help you. I want you to let me in enough to help you, I told her quietly. BPOV. I didn't want Caius to leave what he loved. I didn't want him to give it all up just for me. I knew that those men broke me, but he wanted to help me move past this. He wanted to help me be all right again. I liked that too, but I wasn't sure about any of it. I knew that I could trust Caius, but at the same time, I didn't want to trust him, which just made me mainly angry. I don't know how to trust you anymore. I want to, but I just don't know how. I whispered to him, that is easy. I can help you to learn how to trust again. The steps can be as small or as large as you would like. He told me. At that moment, I felt relief. I had heard that there had been a few people coming to the door, looking for Caius, and I knew he didn't bother speaking to them, choosing to ignore them instead. He stayed holding me for days. He talked to me about the little things that I could do that he could help me with to help me start to trust again. It was just as simple as being able to take small decisions back into my control. But, for whatever reason, the knowledge I can take even that back was fantastic. BPOV. He was right. The small steps that Caius helped me take were, in the end, precisely what I needed. My grandparents, as well as Rose, Emmett, and Jasper, also helped me amazingly. I had a gift for just knowing shit and a mental shield. It was how I learned how and where to make that cabin in the forest behind the castle. Then, one day, my grandfather came up to me and told me that he knew about my gift, then just walked away. Pissed me right off, but I had known that he was going to be coming to tell me something. I wasn't sure to start with how I was meant to trust anyone at all, but each day, my family helped me. My father was one I could confide in when I could not confide in Caius in those days that he just held me. Yet, at the same time, I cried waterless tears, and once I was finished, he told me that he could hear my mate outside his door and wait for me to be alright enough to see him again. This seemed like a process that took decades to overcome, and in some ways, it did. On one of these occasions, I again sat on my father's lap, feeling him rub my back when I felt frustrated. I concentrated on it and somehow knew that I was feeling my mate. Just knowing that he was frustrated that I could not talk to him, that I kept running from him. Kissing my father's cheek, I got up silently and went to the door, opening it suddenly and causing Caius to fall flat on his ass. After that, I just looked down at my mate as I listened to my father laughing. From that moment on, I made a more considerable effort to talk to Caius even when I didn't think I could. As much as sometimes it was hard, I knew that I had to do it for the sake of our relationship. Caius seemed surprised when I first talked to him instead of running to my father for comfort. I don't know what to do. I kept getting reminded of what happened every time I walked down the hallway. I don't know what I am meant to do, I said to my Caius. He stood there looking at me. Surprise was written across his face. If it makes you happy, we can move to a different wing of the castle, Caius said. I could hear the surprise in his voice. I thought this wing was the only one you all stayed in? I asked. I was somewhat surprised at this. No, this is not the only one that we can use. But it has just been the easiest for us to commune with each other when times have called for quick and timely communication from us, Caius said. I watched his smile grow, realizing I was trying to talk to him about my feelings. I was trying to let him in so that he could be the one to help me. He reached out his hand and told me he could show me a few other rooms we had to choose from, that we could potentially move into whenever I saw fit. Caius showed me 3 suites at the king's disposal to use at their will. He waited while I looked through them all before asking me which one I liked the most. Once I had chosen, he moved and stripped the bed that was in the room and called Rose and Emmett, who was staying here to be close to me, and asked if they could make their way into Florence and buy a new mattress for the bed as well as new bedding for it also, instructing them to get only what they knew to be the best for his mate. He also told them to take Felix with them to know what shops held accounts for our family and would not ask any questions. I watched as they nodded and left to find the giant guard. Caius and I started to move all of our belongings into the new suite while we waited for Rose and Emmett to return. Once we finished, Caius and I sat on the couch together for a while and waited. He never pushed me for anything or suggested anything. I had hoped that Caius was content just sitting with me and having me cuddle up next to him. But, from the smile on his face, I could tell that he was. As I looked at my mate, I knew everything would be alright. It might take a while, but I was going to be okay. I would be able to heal with the help of my mate and my family. The healing process has been longer than I wanted it to be. However, in my estimate, Caius has been helping me heal from the incident, as I took to calling it, something that took far too long. It had taken almost a century now, and I could finally stand to be alone with the men on the guard. But, much to my mate's dislike, I had trained with the guard and went on missions with said guard. Caius, in the beginning, let me go, humoring me and my wish to go and administer the justice of the Volturi. But, once he saw that the training and missions were helping me, he suggested that I stay at home with him and administer the justice of the Volturi in the manner that they, the brothers, do. Naturally, this was not acceptable to me, but, to do the most justice, I felt I was to be out in the field and enforce the laws my family has upheld for millennia. So, I tried to convince my father, brother, and mate. But, though I tried, it did not do much good, and it seemed to fall on deaf ears. So, I kept going out with the elite guard and administering and enforcing the law. And when I returned home, my mate would show me how much he missed me. It took too long to be able to let Caius touch me and not cringe away from him like I was prone to do so much in the beginning. Now I was able to be intimate with him easily. This was where he found me, in the room that once was our bedroom, that I had taken as my office, looking over the list of misdemeanors. When I heard the door open, I knew it was Caius immediately. How was it that I knew you would be in here? Found anything worth the intervention on the Volturi, darling? Caius asked me. There is an army getting built on the Texas-Mexico border, garnering too much attention. I was thinking about bringing it to the attention of you 3. But honestly, I think that maybe you and I could both handle this on our own. It seems to be just a little army so far. What do you think? I asked. I had an ulterior motive for inviting him. It had been Dimitri and Felix that had come up with it, and they were there creating the scene as I spoke. It would be a thank you and happy anniversary to my darling mate. Oh, how many have been reported? Caius asked me. This was something that I was expecting. Only around 50 newborns so far, according to my sources. So it would be easy for the 2 of us to handle. I smiled at him. I knew that this would be easy for him to handle. But, I had seen Caius in battle, This would be a walk in the park for my mate. I will talk to Arrow and Marcus about this and let you know. He smiled. I had already talked to my father and brother about this, and they were prepared to help me, thinking this would be a fantastic idea. And they thought it would be good for Caius and me to get away for a little while. Less than an hour later, Caius returned with a smile and informed me we could leave when I was ready. Traveling to their destination did not take very long, but the excitement of the coming battle had Caius unable to keep still for long. Felix was the one that ended up meeting them at the airport and talking to Caius about the situation, purposely talking about it like there was no fight at all. All newborns have ended each other. There is no order in the camp. So now, there are only about 10 to 15 newborns left. I did call Volterra to inform you both, but you had already left. Felix said, when Caius turned around to begin pacing with exasperation. Felix just smiled at me and let me know that everything was set and ready for the two of us. Well, since that is the case, call Dimitri to meet you back here, and go home. Caius and I can take it from here. Thank you very much, Felix. Caius, shall we leave and sort out this now rather small mess of things? I asked my mate. He nodded his consent, and we took off running, following Felix's scent. Once we got to the site that Felix and Dimitri had set up for me, I watched as Caius looked around, confused. Where is the army? There is no evidence of an army ever being here whatsoever, Caius said. He started to become angrier, but I knew that this would happen, as my mate did not like feeling confused very much. Caius, I brought you here for our anniversary. I got help setting this up from Dimitri, Felix, and your brothers. I wanted to bring you here to show you how much I love you and am thankful for your help over the last century. There were times that I didn't know if I could manage to let anyone touch me or come near me. But you were always there, helping me and letting me know that it was alright to feel that way. That you would always be by my side, helping me along the way. So I wanted to do something for you. I wanted us to get away for a while and for it to be just the two of us. I told my mate. He looked at me, and I thought he would completely flip out for a while. CPOV. My little minx had tricked me and made me believe that there was an army of newborns that we could handle independently. I smiled at my beautiful mate and crept towards her with an ease that I would not have been able only a century ago. I loved that we could be free with each other now, that I was able to freely love my mate and make love to her without the worry that she would run, and the slightest hint of my touch. I watched as she smiled at me, the hint of worry that shifted over her face left before it could take hold, as the words set into my head. She wanted this to be a getaway for the two of us. I couldn't move towards her any slower. I used my speed and lifted my mate, kissing her with my entire being to be able to tell her that she was my everything, that her gift of this retreat was the best gift she had given to me. You like it? My darling asked me. I love it, I whispered as I rested my forehead against hers. I came here worried about the army we would face and her underestimation of that army, being a little more than annoyed at her for it, as my mate knew that such should never happen. However, I should have known something was amiss when Felix did not call me himself after discovering that we had left the castle. That is what the guard would usually have done. I should have been suspicious when that did not happen. Bella pulled me back into the present with a simple kiss, something that I never took for granted. I love you, my mate. I wanted to be able to show you how much by giving you this getaway here in Texas. I have already cleared your workload with my father and brother, so there is nothing that you need to worry about for the next 2 months. I know that it's not very long, but let's face facts. Reality never will place your job on hold. I did let both of them know that if anything critical comes up that we will both come back immediately, but I hoped that we could have a little getaway. Bella told me. I couldn't help the smile that grew on my face, knowing we had 2 months of uninterrupted time together. 2 entirely responsibility-free, hopefully, uninterrupted months, with you by my side, how could I ever turn that down? I asked before I kissed her with all abandon. I couldn't believe she would go to these lengths. But I was thrilled. Bella had come such a long way since that fateful incident. But then, I was so proud to be the mate that she needed and to be able to share her life with her. Before she came into my life, I had no idea I was so lonely. My life was always filled with instant gratification. Then, of course, anyone that denied me, even though I accepted the women's choice. After discovering who I was, they soon regretted that choice but said there was always the one line I would never cross. I would never force myself on a woman. Any vampire that did so received and deserved to be tortured tenfold. More often than not, they were. I did not waste any of the time that my mate had gifted me. Nor did I wish to waste anything she decided to give me, as Isabella was my gift. The end.